Greetings and salutations, film lovers. I'm Scott Schirmer. Hi, Dave. Hi, Ben. How the hell are you guys?
Good.
I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm doing great. Yeah.
Starting a new podcast. You don't do that every day.
Not every day.
No. Whose belly's full of knots and butterflies?
Me.
It really struck me on Tuesday for some reason that we were about to do this, and on Tuesday I was so nervous I could hardly go to sleep. And then Wednesday I was really excited about it, and I wasn't nervous. And today, up until now, I've just been very zen about it. And then all of a sudden, right now, I'm like, oh my god, okay.
And now we're circling back around to nervous.
But it's just us. There's nobody watching. We're just talking. It's just like we're at Dave's house again because we visited Dave in Bloomington, and we've played games and stuff there. So let's just pretend like it's just the three of us and nobody else is out there.
Just the three of us.
So the reason that we decided to have a movie podcast is because we love movies so much, and a lot of times when we talk about them with people, they don't really want to hear about it to the degree that we want to talk about it. So this gives us a chance to talk about movies unfettered for a couple of hours on Sunday nights. And most of our shows will be live, but I think we are going to do a number of pre-recorded shows too. So don't cry if all of a sudden you get to a show and it's not live. It just means that we wanted a Sunday off. Maybe someone's wife, not mine because I don't have one, but maybe someone's wife wanted to go out and have dinner or something. Or I don't know.
It could happen.
Coming up with circumstances. Also, I've learned that a lot of people out there don't know about movies. Like, I take it for granted because I've just always grown up loving movies. But when I talk to people, especially under 30, they've never seen the stuff that I've seen or talked about, and they don't even know about it.
It is alarming.
Even Ben had never seen Back to the Future until a year or two ago.
Gasp.
We corrected that problem. So I just thought it'd be nice to introduce ourselves with I want to ask you guys what some of your favorite movies are, but first I do want to ask you, like, do you remember when you fell in love with movies?
Yeah. My mom, when I was about 7 years old, took me to a double feature of old movies at the theater, and they were showing on a clear day, which I don't remember, and they were showing The Sound of Music, which I do remember and is one of my favorite films.
The Sound of Music of all movies. You still love that one?
I do still love that one. Any movie where evil Nazis get their asses kicked, I'm all for it. So yeah,
it is a good start for things. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, my earliest memory, not just with film, but in general, my earliest memory is coming home with my mom. She picked me up after she got out of work, and we're pulling into our garage, and she reaches back in the back seat and gives me a tape. I was like 3 years old or something, and it was Jurassic Park. I just remember just like, what is this? Like, you think about the back of the Jurassic Park VHS, how it has the palm trees with the sunset in the background. Like, I was just so enamored with that. I was like, what is behind those trees? Like, I specifically remember that thought at that age. And we didn't really have cable TV growing up. We did get it eventually when I was in high school. But in the meantime, my mom bought movies with reckless abandon. She didn't even check ratings or anything like that. So I was exposed to a lot of different films, different genres and stuff like people would balk at now and show their kids. My mom used to watch Tales from the Crypt religiously. And so, I'm watching stuff like that and Creepshow. And yeah.
My parents took us to see things also that we probably shouldn't have seen. I remember when they took us, me and my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, to see Platoon in 1986. The people at the theater were like saying, maybe the kids shouldn't see this one. There's blood and violence in it. And they're like, no, they can handle it. They've seen it before.
Yeah, it's funny because my mom, she was a nurse, and my mom was just the opposite. So she didn't let me see violent movies, but like The Blue Lagoon, yeah, that's fine. Even like Heavy Metal, which was, I think, was it rated R? I think it might have been rated R.
I think so.
Yeah. I was like the only kid in my whole class that had to go see Heavy Metal.
Well, I remember
my mom was like, it's a cartoon, it's fine.
Oh yeah, sure. Of all the cartoons, Heavy Metal. But
I was like, well, there's this movie called Flesh Gordon, Mom.
No. I also remember seeing Scanners at the drive-in, and that was like the late 70s, so I couldn't have been older than 5 or 6. And I remember heads exploding. But my
Yeah.
brother and I were fine. Like, movies did not traumatize us, and I think parents know what their kids can handle. I had a cousin that like bawled and almost needed therapy because there was a commercial on where they shot a mattress. So you got to know your kid to know what they can handle or not.
Yeah,
But
I
we
agree.
digress. We digress. Some of our favorite movies. I ask people that I'm just meeting for the first time what some of their favorite movies are because I think it tells you a lot about someone, or at least something about them. So I'm going to just say 3 movies that I think are my most favorites in no particular order, but these 3 are at the very top of my all time favorites. One is The Empire Strikes Back because it's the movie I saw when I was 6 years old in 1980 that made me love movies, and I still do love that one almost more than anything. Ordinary People is a movie I didn't like when I first saw it, but then I saw it again many years later, and I just think it is an absolute masterpiece in subtlety. And then I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 for all the opposite reasons of The Ordinary People. It is a masterpiece of visceral chaos. So I'll
This
throw
is
it
a
over to you.
scientifically proven list, right, Scott, from what you've described?
Since I have a website where I rate movies and there's a couple thousand movies on it, I can very easily go see what I've rated a 10, and there's only like 60 or 70 of them. So I can always be reminded that way. It is kind of scientific, yes. Ben, you're next.
Oh God. Okay, so I couldn't just do like 3 or 4 or 5 or even 10 to round out my spectrum. I actually have 18. It was 17, but then I threw in Belly's Air the Cajun just to piss you off, Scott. So kind of in ascending order. I have Belly's Air the Cajun, 1986. I knew that was coming. L'Inferno, 1911, Brother, 1997, Stalker, 1979, Salvatore Giuliano, 1962, Paisan, 1946, The Beast, 1988, Salo, 1975. Yes, I said Salo, 1975. Prometheus, 2012, Big Night, 1996, Reds, 1981, Big Trouble in Little China, 1986, Videodrome, 1983, Heavy Metal, 1981, Blade Runner, 1982. Those last 3 I had just added as I was looking at the countdown, and then you mentioned Heavy Metal. I'm like, oh man, I can't not put those on there. Godzilla, 1954, Night of the Living Dead, 1968, and Jurassic Park, 1993.
We picked up a weirdo.
I still don't know what to make of you. I think I've told you this before, but usually when someone tells me what their favorite movie is, I'm like, oh, he's that kind of a person, or she's that kind of a gal. But you, I'm like, I still don't know who the hell
Who
you
knows?
have been.
I do tend to skew more toward sci-fi and horror with my tastes. Like if I'm queuing up something to stream some night, I'm almost invariably looking at the horror category of each streaming service. But yeah, I do enjoy historical dramas here and there. But like I said, it was actually really difficult for me to put together this list, and that's why it was so long. But
I know,
I
and it
think
is for most people because
yeah.
we all love too many movies, and I could have a much greater list, but those 3 are on a level all to their own. Dave, what are the movies that you come back to time and time again?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I can't like pick a top 5 or a top 10. I picked movies in my list that bear repeat watching for me. Movies that anytime I see them on, I will watch, even if it's just 10 minutes of it. And those movies would include Fargo, The Devil Wears Prada, Goodfellas, and Ratatouille.
See, that's more of like I can wrap my head around that.
Yeah,
He didn't say Salo.
No, I did not.
yeah. I want to put out the disclaimer. I don't put that on there to be an edgelord. I hosted a academic colloquium on the film Salo, and really did a deep dive in all the messages Pasolini was trying to get across. And it's actually like a really incredible film. As I actually persuaded the audience by the end of the colloquium, they went into it and had zero idea. It was at a film school, and it was just kind of like their professor told them to show up, and they had no idea going into it. Their eyes were just so wide by the end. And then I had a guest speaker, scholar on extreme cinema, kind of sit and discuss it and do a Q&A, and by the end they're like, wow, that's actually a really important film. So that's why it's on there, not because I'm trying to be an edgelord or anything like that.
I had heard about that movie for a long time before I saw it, and then when I finally saw it, I was like, and all I remember is poop.
Yeah, that is a general takeaway for a lot.
That is one big pile of shit.
No, I don't actually think that of Solo. I think there is some merit to the film, but I just didn't love it the way a lot of other people do. I think we can go ahead and tap into the news right now, gentlemen. Do you guys feel like seeing what the box office looks like?
For sure.
I'll give you a little bit of foreshadowing. It is not in good shape. So the box office is still in the shitter. That is the headline. And this was actually the worst box office of the year this weekend. If I look down on this little on this article at Variety, they are praying for something to save the box office. It is the lowest grossing October in 27 years. And yeah, I have mixed feelings about the box office because we are still sort of recovering from the pandemic to some extent. And Warner Brothers in particular this year has had a lot of hits. There have been isolated weekends throughout the year that have done really, really well. Pretty much everything that Warner Brothers opened this year, with the exception of the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie, has been a hit. Superman wasn't a real big hit, but it looks like it's going to make some profit anyway. And then they had huge hits with like Sinners and Minecraft. And gosh, that last Conjuring movie really made a fortune as well.
Really?
So the studios are still capable of doing big movies, but it just seems like they're not making enough movies. Like there are whole weekends that go by this year still, then there's no new release.
Yeah.
And a lot of the movies that they're putting out aren't any good either. I feel like all the people who knew how to make movies are no longer in Hollywood, I guess. Because they've lost the knack.
Yeah, I think a lot of talent has also been snatched away to streaming services too. I think Netflix has gotten a lot of that talent. Apple has gotten a lot of that talent. HBO has gotten a lot of that talent. So I think there's a lot of really creative people who have been kind of like sucked out of Hollywood and now are making content for streaming services, and I think we're seeing some of that, and also the fact that Hollywood is now like more risk averse than ever, it seems like. If you go through like that list of hits that you were talking about, these are like things that you can pretty well count. Superman, that's like something you can pretty much.
They were counting on it making a lot more than it did. It kind of looks like it's just breaking even. It should have done more. But the other argument is that they spend too much.
Yeah.
They are spending way too
Absolutely.
much. Disney in particular spends way too much money on their movies. And it looks like whenever, like Warner Brothers, they've been circling the drain the last few years. They've kept their budgets way, way down. And when they have a hit, they're very profitable. If Disney could just follow Warner Brothers and keep their budgets under control, they'd have more hits too. As it is, I think the only runaway hit Disney's had in a year is Lilo and Stitch that came out in May. Everything else that they've put out this year has either lost a lot of money or just almost broke even. I think the Freakier Friday sequel might have broken even, but it's just been a bad year for them too. And Paramount, they've been circling the drain. They just got purchased, and we're going to have an article here in just a minute about another studio that might be acquired soon.
Yeah, I think Disney is definitely due for a creative shakeup.
I'm going to try not to hate on Disney too much on this show, because I really think that company needs saved from the people that are currently running it.
I agree.
But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Did any of these box office numbers strike you guys? I see one that kind of stands out to me.
Which one is that?
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, hell yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunters came out on Netflix this last summer. And Netflix has forever not wanted any of their original content to be in movie theaters or home video. So they put Stranger Things 1 and 2, the first couple of seasons, on DVD, and no others. Like, it's very rare. They licensed out a movie to Criterion once or twice. But by and large, they don't believe in home video and they don't believe in theatrical. But Sony Pictures produced K-pop Demon Hunters and didn't have faith in it. So they decided to sell it to Netflix. It became a runaway hit, one of like the biggest, most seen things ever on the Netflix platform. And a month later, they had 1 day screening of that movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, in movie theaters. And it did gangbusters, sold out all across the nation. And then Sony was like, holy crap, we need to make a sequel to this. And we need to work with Netflix to like get this in theaters more because it's making a mint. And here it is. What I just told you about that theatrical screening, that was months ago. And here it is months later, and it's in 4th place in the box office. An anime, computer animated movie.
Yeah. I mean, I suspect that's kind of like a crystal ball into, how studios maybe plan on reaching out to the next generation, like Gen Z, and getting them back into theaters, because that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of content they want to see. And, companies like Netflix, they have that data and they know. So,
yeah, I wish Netflix shared their data because they've got to have some fascinating insight.
Yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunters, and it's not the only one. I just can't remember the name of the other anime. Chainsaw Man, actually. Isn't that an anime title?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's number 2. So clearly, I think indisputably, Hollywood has no clue what young people want, because Japan is catering to them and not Hollywood. That's interesting. And it alienates me because I've never liked anime. It gives me seizures. I just herky-jerky squiggle. It's just, I've never understood it. I love classical Disney, fluid Disney animation. Please give me that. But like, anyway, I'm not going to not here to hate on anime. I liked Akira. Ben showed me Akira, and I did like that. And I did see Miyazaki. Is his name Miyazaki with the Studio Ghibli?
Yeah.
I'm an anime amateur, but I did like Spirited Away.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's what I got from this box office. I was happy to see Back to the Future made a little bit more change. I figure Spielberg and Zemeckis could probably use a new car, so that'll help them out. But that's about all. It was a really bad box office, and I don't think there's much on the horizon to change things until maybe Avatar comes out in December.
Oh.
So let me see if I can figure out what our next news article is. How do I do this? I'm like in the show, and now I'm like forgetting. Oh, here's how I do it. Let's do the next headline, Dave. Someone died.
Boo.
They just died today, like this afternoon, and I thought I'd throw it in here. Adam Greenberg is a cinematographer, Oscar nominated for his work on Terminator 2: Judgment Day. But listen to all these other movies that he shot. He shot Ghost, Toys, Dave. He shot you, Dave. 10 to Midnight, Once Bitten, Private Resort, Near Dark, Alien Nation, La Bamba, Wisdom, Iron Eagle, Jocks, Turner and Hooch, 3 Men and a Baby, Sister Act, First Night, Sphere, Rush Hour, and Snakes on a Plane.
Wow, that is quite the portfolio.
Yeah. I think Terminator 2 seems like definitely one of his most stylish works, but I particularly remember Ghost and Toys being very beautiful to look at, and they were colorful. These were films made back in the days when the studios liked to use all of the colors.
Yes, instead of just amber and gray.
But I thought I'd read what James Cameron has said about his passing. Cameron said, "He refused to let budget limitations inhibit his artistic expression. Adam had done scores of films when I worked with him on my first, and his scrappy, can-do spirit has been a guiding light for me ever since, even on the biggest of productions. He taught me the narrative power of color and lighting. Nobody did night photography like Adam. I pride myself on my handheld camera operating, but I learned that at Adam's knee. He was the master." So I think when James Cameron calls you the master, that counts for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go on to some hopefully not as gloomy topics, but whenever someone of, I think, significance in the industry passes, we're going to try and at least acknowledge it. I thought this was the most exciting news that Dave brought to my attention. I did not know about this. There's a sequel.
A sequel. Yeah. It's all
Or
about
a spinoff? I don't know which.
It is being billed as a sequel, and it's about like a day in the life of Cliff Booth, which was Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So that's about the extent of what I've read about it so far. But I'm pretty excited, and it's directed by David Fincher. So
yeah. Excuse me. I wanted what we've determined just recently, because they announced this movie I think a couple months ago, but Netflix, as I was just saying a little bit earlier, they're not really into theatrical. They are definitely sticking more than a toe in the theatrical waters now.
They are,
because they're saying this one may hit theaters as well next summer. So I hope that that's true. I don't like Netflix just being a place where they only stream, because to me, a movie's not a movie if it's only streaming. It's got to play in theaters, and it's got to have home video options, or it doesn't exist to me. I'm not a streamer. I don't watch movies on streaming. I just don't. I have probably seen less than 5 movies in my entire life on a streaming platform.
I can't wrap my mind around that.
I know. I'm weird.
Most of the time I'd be inclined to disagree, but knowing what the writing practices now are for streaming services, where they actually instruct writers to write films that can be just listened to in the background and so
human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
That's how I feel about that whole nonsense. I remember hearing about how Netflix was asking people to keep in mind that their audiences like to knit or sew or play a video game or do God knows what else while they're watching a movie. So don't make anything that requires them to have to pay too much attention. That just made me want to barf.
It does.
So let's hope they lose that.
Knife in the chest.
So I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. David Fincher is awesome. I love Mindhunter on Netflix. I will watch TV shows on streaming, and Mindhunter is awesome. That's a Fincher helm show, and apparently it's coming back as well. So
I think this is only the second time that Quentin Tarantino has ever had another director direct one of his screenplays. I think this and Robert Rodriguez.
After he hit it big. At the beginning, he had Natural Born Killers and True Romance, but he hadn't done Reservoir Dogs yet.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next article, Dave.
Warner Brothers.
Bam! Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers, David Zaslav is in charge of Warner Brothers right now, and they brought him in basically to save the studio from like completely going bankrupt a couple of years ago. And if you guys remember, like a year or two ago, they were like canceling movies that were already finished. Like was it Batgirl?
Batgirl, yeah.
Got completely canceled.
Yep.
And then a Looney Tunes movie, I think one with Coyote and Roadrunner.
Yep.
Was like all finished, and they just canceled that too. And like there are no plans to do anything with those movies because Zaslav determined that the studio would make more money just as a tax write-off than in releasing them. So he got a lot of flack for that, and creative people in Hollywood, they hated him for it. But it seems like this year he's made deals with the director of Sinners. You guys remember that director's name? I think he also did Black Panther. They made a deal with him where he gets to keep the film. The film rights go back to him. I don't remember if it was 10 or 20 years, but the fact that they go back to the creative person in charge, that's like new. That's something Hollywood does not do. And he's not the only filmmaker they've done it with. I just can't remember who the other one was. So they're making interesting deals that could change the landscape of artist-studio relations moving forward. And
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, that's the guy.
Had to look it up real quick.
I don't know. I think Zaslav has actually turned out to be a smart person in charge of Warner Brothers, because I think they've had 6 or 7 really big hits this year, and I'd be surprised if they're not the most profitable studio of the year. Like keeping their budgets down and making stuff that people have actually come out to see.
I mean, sometimes you need somebody like that who can make those really hard decisions, and from what I've heard about, like Batgirl, for instance, it was not good and not ready for prime time.
That's what I
And
heard too.
so
I think Michael Keaton was in it though, wasn't he?
yeah, he was.
So it seems like at least that would have maybe driven some interest, but I guess it didn't help the Flash much.
I would have gone. I would have seen it based on that alone. I will go see Michael Keaton in anything. So, yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about all this merging of studios? Because Disney bought Fox, and now Paramount has been purchased by Skydance, which I don't think is as big a deal because Skydance was pretty much the studio that made Paramount movies. So that's not as much of a merger of intellectual property as the Disney Fox one was.
Yeah.
But now that Warner Brothers is up for sale, everyone is saying that Paramount and Skydance are the ones that are going to buy Warner Brothers, and that will be a mammoth conglomerate like what we saw with Disney merging with Fox.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would be in favor of that at all. But the problem is like if Warner Brothers is up for sale, who else is in a position to buy them other than maybe a streaming service, other than maybe a Netflix or an HBO? I don't know. Or Apple, it's entirely possible that Apple might be in the market for something like that. I've heard crazy rumors that Apple would be in the market to buy Disney. So who knows?
I think they've thrown their hat in the ring. Netflix is the second entity that's interested in Warner Brothers right now. Just within the last few days,
personally,
people.
I would rather see that happen than a Paramount deal. So
the only thing I don't like, well, not the only, but the thing that comes most immediately to my mind when these big studios like gobble each other up is the fact that they become too big. They become so big that they don't care about their individual little IPs, especially if they're not like a massive Harry Potter like franchise.
That's what I was going to say. They just become so massive and homogenized, and there's no incentive for competition to try new things and try to find the next thing. It's just always going to be. I just lately with these mergers, I don't know if anything good has ever come out of them. It seems like a recent example was like South Park got delayed because of one of these mergers at one point.
Yeah.
And other content like that, different projects get shuttered, people get laid off, and it's all so sterile and gross, and it's just all number crunching. Just I don't know.
Well, it's I kind of see movies as children, and it's sad when their parents like die and they get acquired by new parents.
Right. Yeah.
Are they like a good example is the Muppets. The Muppets were awesome. Disney bought them. Disney didn't know what to do with them, and Muppets have just like languished
ever since
in purgatory ever since because they don't know what to do with it. Although I hear now Seth Rogen is going to try and do something with them, so maybe that'll work. I was watching
Star Wars.
We got to save Star Wars for another show.
I will say that on the plus side for Disney with the Muppets, you can go now and watch the really old like 1970s Muppet Show episodes on Disney Plus. So that's kind of cool.
Well, they could at least do that.
That's the least they can do.
The very least. I was watching an interview with Kino Lorber representative, the Blu-ray and 4K distribution label, and another guy, I think he was with Radiance, and they were saying they were trying to get the Stepford Wives, the original film.
Yeah.
And the studio that owns it, I can't remember who it was. It's one of these big giant studios that has gobbled up all kinds of things. And the tiny little company that made the Stepford Wives and a small handful of other films, those are so minor in the vast library of the studios, the company's IPs, that it's not worth their time and money to tell a lawyer to like fill out the paperwork to like put that movie on Blu-ray or 4K right now. That's what I don't like about these studios getting so big that any one individual little movie doesn't get any love and attention anymore. The Stepford Wives isn't chopped liver, people. It's an important movie if you ask me. Okay, we'll go on to the next headline, Dave. Our last little headline. Stranger Things is coming to theaters. And this is, again, along the lines of Netflix dipping their toes in theatrical. So I think it's late December. I can't remember the exact date Well, you know what, Scott? It's probably in the article. Yeah, it's only going to be in 350 theaters, which
How about
is
that?
not a big deal. It's a good sized limited number of theaters on December 31st. I'm drinking an amaretto sour and it's starting to give me the burps. How's that for professionalism? So it's premiering at the same time on Netflix. So I'm going to be interested to see how it does theatrically. How many young people? Because this is huge to young people. I saw a list of all the intellectual properties that matter to people under. I think it was 20, and Stranger Things was way up there, and then it was tons of stuff I'd never heard of before. So it'll be very interesting to see what the box office is like when they can stay at home and watch it on Netflix instead of paying some money to see it in a theater. Also, Avatar is going to be out in theaters just a little bit before that. So I wonder if it's got Disney and James Cameron a little bit worried, since they pretty much had that whole window open to themselves. And now, not so much. All right, nobody's got anything to say on that one.
Not really. I'm more excited about Stranger Things in the theater, except that I won't go to the theater to see it. But I'm more excited about that than I really am Avatar. Are either of you guys Avatar fans?
Avatar, man, I
Not
just
so much. It's just funny because, you know, somebody who grew up on Jurassic Park and people are talking about how Avatar was this like special effects landmark, and yeah, they're incredible, but I don't know. It's just, even to this day, it just doesn't hit me the same way Jurassic Park does. I don't know.
We could probably do a whole segment of an episode on Avatar, but my one comment on that movie is that I've never seen a movie that had such a box office impact, such a huge box office impact, that had so little pop culture impact.
yeah.
Right.
Like there's no Avatar, convention. There's no big collector's market for Avatar toys, really. I mean, there's a little bit, but not compared to other billion-dollar franchise movies.
There's a great ride at Disney World.
If you say so.
It is. Flight of Passage is definitely a top 5 attraction at Disney World. You've got to go to Animal Kingdom and check that out. I know that park only has like 5 attractions, but still, take a half day and go there. That one ride is almost worth the admission. We're gonna go on to the announcements in home video releases, which is one of my favorite hobbies and pastimes since I have a home theater now. I moved to Madison 3 years ago now. And one of the reasons I was most excited about getting a house was because I could finally have a home theater. When you're in an apartment, you can't have a big old bass and all these speakers and all that crap. So now that I have a dedicated home theater with Dolby Atmos 7.1.2 sound, I have really fallen in love with 4K. And I'm excited to say that all kinds of new movies are coming to 4K in the next couple of months. The first big title, I'm not as huge a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as some other people, but this is going to do gangbusters amongst the home video 4K enthusiasts. Arrow Video is putting this out. It's going to be available December 16. It's got all 3 of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, not any of the stuff that's come out in the last 25 years. These are the movies that came out in 1990 and in the few years after that. But they've got a big cult following, and this box set has already been pre-ordering in huge numbers at places like Orbit DVD and Diabolic DVD. I ordered my copy because, yes, I had to have it. I like the first one. I've never seen the other 2, so I'm actually planning to have a little marathon over Christmas break. I ordered mine from Diabolic DVD. I will always encourage everyone listening to buy their movies from Orbit DVD or Diabolic DVD because Amazon will destroy it before they ship it to you. Guaranteed. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Any fans, guys? Any fans?
Not really.
I should be a huge fan because it was like really big with my generation, but it's just like I don't dislike it. I just, another thing I never really got around to watching and getting into, but I respect it.
It's a silly little cult movie. I mean, if you love it, you love it, and if you don't, you don't. It's that kind of a deal. They also have this alternate cover art, which I think is lame, and I did not want that one. I wanted the other cover art. Dante's Peak is coming from Kino Lorber, also on December 16th. I don't know why, but I love this movie. I saw it in the theaters when it first came out, and I was like, it's a movie. I didn't care. But for some reason, I saw it again a few years ago and just fell in love with it. I can't explain it. I don't know if it's I love Linda Hamilton. I like Pierce Brosnan. I love disaster movies, so I guess that's enough of an explanation. But I am really excited to see Dante's Peak in 4K.
Wow.
December 16th.
you and like 18 other people are probably.
I know of a few others, but I admit it's a weird one. I don't know why I love it so much. But I would say see it again, because I think it might be better than what you remember.
Is it the soundtrack?
No, it's really not the score. The score's not bad, though.
Well, I trust you. I will watch it again. I know I've seen it, but I barely remember it. Just barely.
Well, sometimes it's escapism. Maybe just deep down inside, I want to be on a mountain that's about to blow up with Linda Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Also coming to 4K in December, this one coming on December 9th, is Disney's animated film, The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, and I love that movie so much.
I do too. This was like the time that Disney was the most like Looney Tunes that they've ever been.
Yeah.
And they haven't put very many movies on 4K either. I think they've got Snow White, Cinderella, and Lilo and Stitch. So this will be, if I'm not mistaken, only the 4th movie available on 4K. Oh, actually, I think Aladdin might be on there too. But there aren't that many.
To me, this is such a departure from standard, Disney animation fare that I forget that it's actually a Disney movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not really big into Disney animation outside of the classics, but this is definitely one I'm going to have to pick up, I think.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the only ones worth seeing after the 90s. Like, they went downhill pretty quick after the 90s. And then here's a picture of my adorable 2 little green cheek conures, Cushing there in the front, and Charlie, the pineapple, in the back. And they're just the best little birds ever, and I just had to show them to you guys.
They're not as innocent as they look.
They are sweet, adorable little angels.
They look
They're
like
looking awfully judgy right now. But
they look like they're going to bite me again.
They are angels. The Descent is coming to 4K, and I think this one is a big deal. Lionsgate Limited is putting it out in a nice, fancy steelbook, available only at their website, lionsgatelimited.com. This one I've pre-ordered already. It comes out in just a few weeks on November 11th. And this movie is so dark, just visually, because it's all in caves, that I imagine it's going to benefit tremendously from 4K and ultra high definition and all those layers of being able to see into the darkness. So I'm pretty excited about that one. Plus Lionsgate Limited, all of their releases that I have, they are top tier, really nice design, high quality packaging. They're like 35 or $40 a lot of the times, but they're worth it. They're so high quality.
Yeah, this one's been showing up on Prime streaming lately, and I've been trying not to watch it because I know this 4K is coming down the pike.
You've never seen it?
Oh, no, I've seen it. I've been wanting to rewatch it, though, and I've been refraining until the 4K.
He's holding out for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Holding out for the good. Well, I think it's going to be worth it. I'm definitely planning to review that one in a couple of weeks on the show. We also have American Psycho coming on the Lionsgate Limited label. This one's coming on December 9th. You can pre-order it now at their website, Lionsgate Unlimited. This has already been on 4K, I think, more than once. But I don't think that's going to stop it from selling because this movie has a tremendous cult following. And I don't know if I'm a fan of the packaging, though.
But doesn't this one come with like some collectible stuff with it, or am I wrong?
It looks like there's some trinkets down there. It looks like it's got business cards.
Yeah, that's what I saw. It was a business card. Yeah.
And the disc itself is in a CD case.
Yeah.
That you see on the right there. So
yeah.
I'm foregoing this one. I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I liked it, but just not enough to want in my collection.
I'll probably pick this one up, but I think I want to read the book before I rewatch it this time.
Have either of you seen Southpaw?
Yes.
No.
I have not, but it is coming from Lionsgate regular on December 12th. So you'll be able to get this one not on their website, but I think at regular retailers.
I've seen it, and I own a digital version of it, and I probably myself will not buy a 4K version of it. But
me either, until I see it at least. I don't buy anything sight unseen anymore. I used to at one point in my life, but I'm better now.
Lived and learned.
Well, you end up buying some really awful crap that way. And then I've never seen these movies, and so I don't have a whole lot of skin in the game. But Kino is putting out 4 of the Pink Panther movies. These are all coming out December 16th. There is one of them that is not coming out in December. The Return of the Pink Panther will be coming in early 2026. But the other 4 are all in December. And then rounding out the home video releases, I have 3 more titles.
Alligator.
Imprint. Imprint is an Australian label, and they're putting out Alligator 1 and 2 in a box set and Lawnmower Man 1 and 2 in a box set. So you'll have to get these at Orbit DVD or Diabolic DVD. They're not American. They're Australian releases, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Sometimes these studios do American releases. They're going to be costly. I promise you. They're going to be like $60 to $90 each of these box sets. They're not going to be cheap. Hi, Robert. You guys haven't met Robert, but he is the shiz. I love Robert. Robert, thanks for watching. We're always going to address physical media on the store on the show, somewhere towards the top of the show. And
he was your gaffer on Gush, wasn't he?
Yes, he's good friends with Brian Williams, my co-director, co-writer, co-producer on Gush. And so he came and gaffed that movie on Brian's request. And he made us some wonderful, sweet coffee drinks on that show. And he was just a really good vibe to have on a set. So if you guys need to hire a gaffer or just anybody to do anything that needs to be done, Robert Alvarez is your man. Why are people still buying VHS?
See, we're covering this because at my request, because I'm kind of like tuned into the VHS collectors market a little bit. I don't collect VHS anymore, just because I don't have that kind of. I don't even have a VHS player. It's funny. I don't have a VHS player anymore, but I do have 2 Laserdisc players and a whole box of Laserdiscs. But I'm still excited about this one because I think that the VHS collectors will be excited about this one too, and it's got some.
Are they excited enough to spend $40 on it?
Depends on the movie.
It depends on the movie.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't collect VHS as much as I used to. I used to go to like Goodwill and Salvation Army, where they just have 25-cent tapes, and I would just come back with a whole stack or something. But I just don't have the space for that anymore. But I do have some choice tapes. I just picked up Giant Mnemonic on tape not too long ago. It was like cool orange cassette. Especially since I don't know, does Giant Mnemonic have like a good physical release these days? I think there was like a black and white Blu-ray that was put out, but then I think otherwise it's just on DVD, for the standard version. But yeah, no, it depends on the film. But yeah, absolutely, I could see somebody dropping $40 for, especially if it was like a custom cassette, like this appears to be. But
you guys are, Ben's cray-cray. Dave's better now because he's not buying video anymore. I hated VHS even when it was the only option. I hated watching movies on VHS because the picture quality sucked even then. And they weren't letterboxed all the time. Most of them they weren't, so that you weren't getting the whole picture. And every time you played it, it degraded. Every time you pause it, it would put permanent static in that frame. It was just like glass. Like it was so fragile that it just gave me anxiety to even put a tape in the player.
All these things were true, and yet I grew up in an era where like we would record songs off the radio on a cassette player. So,
Yeah, no, I kind of grew up when like the home video release thing was starting to take off with VHS, like in the 90s and stuff. And yeah, it just has that tactile, it has that nice feel to it, and it's just all the chunky sounds it makes when it's in the VCR.
Chunky sounds.
And then when you fall asleep with a movie, you wake up when it's automatically rewinding depending on what kind of VCR you had.
Well, if you just want chunky sounds, I got some sounds for you, Ben. Pretty chunky right here. Anyway, the company that's putting it out is called Laika,
Laika,
and
yeah.
Laika, and they have a website. And if you have $40, you just want to flush down the freaking toilet, you can buy this Paranorman VHS tape.
You're
I will,
so mean.
to your credit, though, I will say that Lionsgate Unlimited is also putting out American Psycho on VHS, and the VHS has sold out already. That's why I didn't mention it.
I didn't know
Well,
that. Yeah.
VHS, does figure prominently in that movie, so it kind of makes sense. So
I can understand it if you're collecting vintage VHS because there's the nostalgia factor, but like new artwork and new packaging, I'd have a harder time wrapping my head around that. But hey, if you love VHS,
not for you.
You rock on with your bad self. All formats deserve love. All movies deserve love. Don't listen to me. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I like bad shit, so you can't trust me. Let's do soundtracks real quick. I just got this one in the mail a couple days ago. It is Flatliners, composed by James Newton Howard. This score has never been available in any way, shape, or form except for bootleg until just this last week. So if you're a big fan of the soundtrack to Flatliners, the score by James Newton Howard, Entrada has it available on their website. Just look up Entrada Flatliners and you'll go right to their store. I think it's like $23, so it's not too pricey in this day and age.
So Scott, I think you should tell the people about your unique love affair with film soundtracks. I think it's an interesting story.
Hey people, I have a unique love affair with film soundtracks.
Well, it started, you said, because you would often hear the soundtracks of films before they ever came to your home theater.
Well, that didn't happen until high school. It started because my mom used to play the Empire Strikes Back vinyl record, which was like 4 sides, while she cleaned the house on Sundays. My brother and I would just sit and listen to the Empire Strikes Back while she cleaned. And back in those days, we were on a farm. There was no cable. There was no internet. There was nothing to do. So if you were a kid, you would sit down and listen to John Williams, and you'd be happy doing it. And I wish more kids would do that today.
Yeah.
And then in high school, it really, really flourished when I discovered James Horner and Jerry Goldsmith and John Barry. Like Jacob's Ladder, actually. I bought that soundtrack before I ever saw the movie. I didn't see the movie till years and years later.
Your mom said, Star Wars. We got Star Wars at home. You don't need Star Wars.
This is one I need to watch again soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually trying to pitch it to you guys on an upcoming show because it just came out on 4K a couple of weeks ago. And I'm
Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those Lionsgate Unlimited titles also. It's in a nice steelbook. But the score just got expanded and re-released. It says it's coming out in late October. It is now November 2. So hopefully that means it's shipping soon from La La Land Records. If you type in your Google search for La La Land Records and Jacob's Ladder, I'm sure you'll find it. And La La Land is also reissuing the soundtrack to Clue by John Morris. Now, this is not a score that I would personally want to own just to listen to on its own, but I do love this movie. So if you're a big fan of the movie, maybe the soundtrack is something that can kind of give you the vibes without having to watch the whole movie again. Also from La La Land. And Tron Ares, of course, has recently been released. Dave has seen this movie and heard the score. Dave, tell us about the score.
It is a perfectly serviceable Nine Inch Nails album. I think if you're a Nine Inch Nails fan, it's probably a good idea to remember that this is a movie score. And so you'll hear a lot of repeated, segments, however you want to put that, right? Parts of songs that get repeated kind of like over and over again throughout the movie to kind of, give that continuity since it is a film score. Right. So if you're, expecting a regular Nine Inch Nails album, it may not be the thing you want to buy. But if you're a soundtrack person, I think it's an awesome soundtrack.
I'm sure it's not as good as Tron Legacy by Daft Punk.
Personally, I don't think so. But I also think that this might connect to a whole other audience too. So
I think Daft Punk's score to Tron Legacy is the best score since Howard Shore's The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Wow. That's really saying something.
If you can find a better score, more striking score, one that you can listen to on its own outside the movie, let me know. Books! It's hard to find books, so if you're watching the show and you're listening, please feel free to email us. I think our email address is, you're able to find that through the YouTube channel page, but it's schirmercinema@gmail.com. Let us know if you know of a book or a collectible or a soundtrack or something that's coming out soon that maybe we don't know about. But one of them that's coming out, that has just come out actually a few weeks ago, is Michael J. Fox's story about his time making the Back to the Future films. So if you're a fan of those films, go to Amazon or your favorite bookseller and you can look for that one. Also now available as of just about a week ago, I think, is The Fashion of Clueless, written by the costume designer for that movie. I love Clueless. I don't know if I need this particular book in my house, especially since my house is so little, and if I ever acquire something, it means I have to throw something away. But the fashion in the movie is indeed quite striking.
It is. And I'm a fan of fashion and Clueless. I don't know that I will buy this book, but I don't know that I won't.
I mean, if someone gave it to me as a gift, I wouldn't throw it away.
I would not.
So if you're into Clueless, you can also acquire that book now. It has recently been released. And another big book that might, I think, find itself in a lot of stockings this Christmas is this $60 or $70 hardcover book on the making of Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, one that just came out like in the last week or two. Just knowing what a big fan base Tarantino has, me included, and this film, which I think is my favorite Tarantino film, if not one of my 3 favorites of his. This one should do pretty well.
Yeah, I agree, and I want it. So if anybody's listening who is looking for Christmas ideas for me, I want that book.
All right, you've heard it from Dave.
You heard it from me.
We're really just doing the show to tell you what you can buy for us.
Yeah. We'll put our Amazon wish list on here.
Now we'll move on to the last section in news, and that is collectibles. Again, collectibles is one of those things where it's hard to keep track of and know what's coming out, but I did see that Disney, on their website, disneystore.com, within the last month has made this item available. It is a statue that lights up of Chernabog from Fantasia, and I like Chernabog from Fantasia. So if anyone has $200 they feel like buying this, by all means, put this in my stocking, and I will be quite happy. The other item that I noticed was out there, although I bet you're going to have a hard time finding it, is this DeLorean Time Machine Back to the Future popcorn bucket at AMC theaters. My guess is that this is long gone already, as of probably the moment the doors open to the theaters, because these popcorn buckets have become such a phenomenon.
They have. It's the most innovative thing that AMC has done in about 30 years.
So there it is now.
Buckets.
I would ask for this one, but I literally have nowhere to put it. Like, I only have so much shelf space to put knickknacks. So
it is interesting the number of unique popcorn buckets we've seen to incentivize, theater goers.
That ends our news segment, but we're going to look in the chat at Mr. Robert, because he is the only person that I can see who is participating in the chat, if I'm not mistaken. Robert is telling us all kinds of things. He loves my Teen Wolf avatar, so take that, Ben. Ben said bad things about my avatar, Robert, so you need to...
Said bad things about mine.
That's because yours is stupid. Robert loves La Bamba. That means it must be an awesome movie. I saw it, but it's so long ago that I'd have to see it again to speak about it with any kind of sense. Netflix has Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein playing in limited theaters on 35mm and digital. He saw it on 35, and it was beautiful. Well, I'm glad Guillermo was able to work that out with Netflix, because he should not be making shit that doesn't play on a big screen.
Agreed.
Physical media, yes, we'll keep doing it. Love The Descent. Robert, you love a lot of movies. Robert is a real serious movie lover. He will buy the Paranorman VHS, so he does suffer from the same problems that Ben has.
Told you.
And this just
3 VCRs.
Further
3
confirms
VCRs.
it. I have no VCRs.
All right.
Robert's got one for each of us.
And Robert, I just started going back to Goodwill for VHS, and they still do sell for for $50 to $1.
Interesting. Even recently, because a lot of the Goodwills I've gone to, it seems like they've offloaded VHS.
Yeah, it's
So-
hard to find VHS at Goodwill anymore.
Wild.
About the only time I do still once in a while buy VHS, but only if it's still shrink wrapped. So about 2 weeks ago, I did buy a copy of E.T. that was still shrink wrapped, and what else? Stripes that was still shrink wrapped.
Robert asks, have you read the book written by Quentin Tarantino, Cinema Speculation? I've been reading it, and it's amazing. I have it on my Amazon wish list, literally, and I just don't have a copy, but it is on my radar. It is something I definitely plan to check out at some point, because I love listening to Quentin Tarantino talk, and I assume I would also love reading what he has to say as well.
Jim Handy says that Half Price Books has all the VHS. So if you're looking for a source, apparently Half Price Books is the place to go.
Gin Handy, you get a movie clip.
Flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
And Robert, I got one for you too, sir. Let me see. There it is. This one's for you, Robert. I bet you've seen this movie.
She got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it.
I'm sure Robert's seen Heat. It is an amazing film that we'll talk about at some point, I'm sure. But that is the news. So we are now going to move on to coming attractions. On every show, we're going to try to show at least one trailer for a movie that's coming out pretty soon, so that we can, I'm guessing, usually talk about how we're not going to want to watch that movie, since most of them suck these days, but that's a whole thing. But in this case, I think at least one of us might want to watch the 2 trailers we're going to watch. So Ben, you are probably the biggest Predator fan amongst the 3 of us. Why don't you tell us about this one?
So I've been admittedly keeping myself ignorant of a lot of the details going into it. Usually my rule is like I'll allow myself to watch one teaser and maybe one full trailer, because a lot of trailers now just spoil a lot of the films. And I guess as somebody who like knows a lot about the Alien and Predator universe, me and the fan that I am, it's like I don't need like a whole lot of details before going into it. But from what I understand, this is from the same director as Prey, as I just said there, and I loved that installment. The 4th Predator film, like I started to fall off hard from a lot of like the Alien and Predator stuff that was coming out.
Wait, there's a 3rd?
Yeah. There's 1, 2.
To me, there are only 2 Predator movies.
See, 3 is
it stops with Danny Glover for
yes,
Scott.
it does.
Yeah, 3 is divisive for a lot of people, but I really liked it. So Prey was amazing. This is the same director. It looks like they're kind of merging like the Alien side of things, what they've been doing with Romulus, and like the new Hulu series that I actually really enjoyed, because you start see the Weyland-Yutani company coming in, and it's actually one of the supporting characters of this film is supposed to be a Weyland-Yutani android that this sort of
half of Elle Fanning.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like this young predator who's out to or Yaoja, depending on how deep in the weeds you want to go with the lore. That's technically what the species name is. He's out to prove himself by killing the most dangerous beast on the most dangerous planet, as far as I know. And Weyland-Yutani gets involved in their
when I see
schemes,
this trailer, though, to me, what it looks like is they're trying to make the Predator sexy.
Well,
and I'm not sure I'm interested in sexy Predator.
It's funny because when I first saw this trailer, again, knowing it was the same director as Prey, and the protagonist in Prey was Native American actress, I actually thought this was supposed to be a female Predator, like kind of a parallel to Prey, but not from the Predator side. But
I'll say this, Scott: a sexy Predator may not be for you, but given the number of women I know who are into like monster smut, I think
Oh,
I
God.
think there's an audience there. So yeah.
But at the very least, it looks like they're gonna deliver some action.
Remind me not to meet your friends, Dave.
One of the things that's interesting with these new Predator and Alien movies is that they're introducing a lot of new alien species beyond just the titular alien or predator to kind of mix things up. They did that a lot with the Hulu series with Alien, and there was one that kind of almost took the spotlight off the xenomorph itself because it was so creepy. And it was kind of a fixation of the main villain more so than the xenomorph. I guess if I had one complaint, it does seem like the xenomorph took a little bit of a backseat in the Hulu series, but I won't go into too many details. I'll avoid spoilers. It's definitely worth checking out. They did a lot of new things. It's something that, as somebody who's a fan of this series and is always like disappointed when it's always the same rehashed formula with not necessarily just the films, but even the comics and novelizations they come out with. They've done a lot of new, interesting things, and I'm excited for it. In any case, this is one that I'm definitely going to go out and see as soon as I can.
You can see it and review it on the show. I will not see it. I am not interested. I am interested in Prey. Based on what other people have told me, including you yourself, Ben, Prey sounds like one I would like, but what I've seen of this one, I'm going to need to hear some more people tell me it's worth my time. But since you are clearly such a huge fan of the Predator franchise, I have to do this to you.
Where are they? I think they're talking about us. No way.
No way.
I own that. I own that.
So yeah, Predator Badlands. Ben will be here to review it on our next show because it is opening on Friday. But there's another movie coming out on Netflix this upcoming Friday, and I will be definitely watching it. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Try to get the right headline for it up there if I can find it.
Got it.
There it is. We're learning. So I have always thought Frankenstein, I like the old Universal classic, and I kind of a little bit like the Hammer Films version. I didn't really care for the Kenneth Branagh version that came out, I think, in the 90s. So I've always felt like there was room for a much better, heaven forbid, perfect Frankenstein movie. And I think if anyone's going to deliver it that's alive today, it's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
So I'm very optimistic that this will at least be good, if not a masterpiece.
Well, his ability to humanize monsters, like, it's just a perfect fit for Frankenstein.
And this is the human monster. Like, the monster is the protagonist in this story, at least if you ask me. So I'm looking forward to this one. I will definitely check this one out in time for next week's show so we can talk about that one. Dave, where do you land on Frankenstein?
It seems like it's a good time for Frankenstein. I noticed, I'm sure you've probably seen the trailers for The Bride, which I'm sure we'll cover in the future in March. And it's written and I believe written, produced, and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. So
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So yeah, a good time for Frankenstein fans, and I'm looking forward to this one, and I will most definitely be watching it.
Yeah. Also a big Oscar Isaac fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oscar Isaac's definitely a good actor too.
Did you see Ex Machina yet, Scott?
Yes, I really liked it. I think I
feel
gave
like
it
there
an
might
8.
be some parallels, but just from on paper. But
yeah, Jen Handy, I agree. He's got a good balance. Like Robert De Niro in the Branagh version was just ugly. Like he didn't have the sympathy, but this character, that face, engenders some empathy in me right away. So I think Guillermo probably found the right balance between monstrous and human and something to scare as well as have a little sympathy for. So that's our little look at new releases, or at upcoming releases. And now we're going to take our attention to a movie that just opened and is playing in theaters. Bugonia! What the hell does Bugonia mean? I had to look it up on the internet after the movie because they never mention the word in the movie. It's like, I don't know, I forget now. It's some old Greek word or something that means something or another. But essentially, the filmmaker and the writer, they just decided to use the word because they like the sound of it. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the movie, but it's fun to say Bugonia. If I had to define begonia, I would define it as a flower growing out of someone's anus. That's what a begonia sounds like to me. All right.
Okay.
It would be easy for me to hate on this movie. I did like the movie. I just don't know who else is going to like this movie. It's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who my friend Brian introduced me to by telling me about every movie he's ever made, and he sounded very interesting. And then I finally checked out The Favorite, which I think has been his most commercial movie, and it got a lot of Oscar nominations, and I think it won some awards. It won for Best Actress, actually, a few years back. But if you know this director's modus operandi, that he likes to create absurd situations and just his movies seem like they're in reality, but then the weird crazy stuff will happen. If you know what he does like that, then you'll be able to predict how this movie ends. It's basically about this guy played by Jesse Plemons and his autistic cousin. They live together, they're sheltered. You could kind of maybe think of them as, I hate to say the word, rhymes with Ben Flels. They're kind of like that, but they are the protagonists of the movie. Like, the movie is told from their point of view, not the Emma Stone character's point of view for the most part. So you do sympathize with them. They genuinely think she's an alien, an Andromedan to be specific, on Earth with the express plan as a CEO of a major pharmaceutical company to hurt the human race. And so they capture her, they kidnap her, they tie her up, and they want her to admit that she's an alien and to take them to her spaceship. And so all through this movie, I'm going, either they really are crazy and she's going to be able to get away, or they're going to kill her and it's going to be a tragedy, or she really is an alien and they are going to eventually get to a spaceship. Those are the only two ways that I could see this movie ending, and I'll just say that it ends in one of those ways.
Do you think that this is gonna be an Oscar contender this year?
I kind of got the
knowing. I kind of got the feeling that that's how it was being positioned, especially the timing of the release and everything. But I haven't heard a lot of buzz about it, so I don't know.
No, it didn't seem like it got a lot of buzz. I think because they probably don't know how it's going to perform, and it looks like it didn't do terrible, but it didn't do well at the box office either. And I don't know what the word of mouth is going to be on for this, because lay audiences, there's no way they're going to care for this movie. It gets too weird in the end. Like, if a movie is totally reality based for more than 10 or 15 minutes, if you throw something too wild at the audience after that, they're just going to think it's dumb. You have to be weird from the get-go to get most general audiences into a movie like this. But if you're a fan of Largos and what's his name? Whatever his name is,
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yorgos Lanthimos. If you're a fan of his stuff, I think you'll at least like this. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead have our first score on here. I will say, where's the scores? I got to find them. They're coming. Here they are. I'm going to give this one a 6. The acting's really good. Emma Stone, always really good. She's one of the best actors of her generation. Probably one of my favorite, easily in my top 10. I'm not even sure I could name 10 amazing actresses working today. She's one of them. I will always be okay with watching a movie that she's in.
Yeah.
Also, Jesse Plemons. I've never seen him better than he is in this movie, and he's a good actor who's done some good stuff. The autistic brother is autistic in real life. I'm curious to know if he's playing himself or if he's putting on any kind of affectations in the movie. It was a very interesting supporting role, nonetheless. And it's really just the three of them for the most part. There are a couple of other people that come and go, but it's like a stagey, theatrical kind of thing. Most of it takes place in Jesse Plemons and his cousin's house. And it's just confrontations between the three of these characters. It does escalate. Things get nuts. all through the last like 30 minutes. But I just don't know if it's for general audiences. I'm gonna give it a 6, but I do think it's only worth checking out if you know what you're getting into, if you know this director's work, or if you just love these two performers, Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. I think you might want to not see it in theaters. Maybe wait for streaming or something.
So briefly, really quick, the you said it was a cousin that is autistic. Is that right?
Yeah.
And the actor is autistic in real life. Do you think that's kind of a reaction to some recent controversy with other films about,
maybe it could also just be to get a really interesting performance, because it is the guy is really interesting. All three of these actors, they're very good. The acting is definitely the strongest thing about this movie. I don't think the script is especially that strong, but the acting is a good reason to see it. And it's got the director's style too. It's the framing and the pacing, the use of music is all very, very similar to stuff you've seen in some of his other stuff. I don't know. I feel like maybe he might need to branch out soon, because I already feel like I get this director. And if he's ever going to do something again, it's going to be another movie where in the first half hour, I'm going to know, okay, either this is really real or it's batshit crazy. And it almost always goes batshit crazy. So it's just, are you in the mood for that or not? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm giving it a 6. I think it's a film with merit. I just don't know if it's going to find a wide audience, but I do hope it gets some fans of the director, at least something to tide them over to his next movie, because he does seem to do one every couple of years. Let's see if there's any comments about Bugonia. Robert says he has seen it. This movie was so good. Go see Bugonia. I think Robert is on the payroll for the studio that put this movie out. Jesse Plemons was so good in this. He really, really was. His character is so convinced that he's right that it really hurts him when she is able to get inside his head and manipulate him a bit. You really do see a lot of anguish in his character. And you really will be asking yourself, is she an alien? Is she? If you know the director, you already know the answer. So that's Bugonia. You guys ready to move on to our next little section, or do you have any other things you want to say about the weird-ass Bugonia?
Definitely have to check it out. I enjoy this director's work. I saw The Favorite before I even knew who this director was. I saw it was in theaters, just as kind of a blind
I really liked The Favorite. I liked The Favorite more than this one.
The Lobster, I enjoyed. Poor Things, I was kind of on the fence about, but I love Willem Dafoe in it. But yeah, I'll have to check this one out for sure. I like my weird, goofy stuff.
I think you'll at least like it, Ben.
Did you see Beau is Afraid yet?
Not yet, but it's on my great big list.
That's got to be at like the far end of the weird spectrum as far as like...
The director of that one is one of the producers on Bugonia.
Okay.
Ari Aster.
Really? Okay.
Yup. All right, we are going to move on to... Edward Scissorhands, 1990. I am fortunate enough to have been able to visit the sets of this movie at 20th Century Fox when I attended the UCLA workshops, a seminar held by the UCLA Film School in the summer of 1990. So I am going to talk about visiting the sets of Edward Scissorhands. They weren't shooting. It was after they'd concluded shooting, but a studio tour guide took us into the soundstage and showed us around the sets of this movie and one other movie. But before I do that, and before we talk about the movie itself, I just want to address the 4K itself for those that are only interested in that part. Apparently, the Blu-ray of Edward Scissorhands is one of the best Blu-rays to ever hit the market. Not the original, but after the original Blu-ray with the all-white cover, the ones after that were encoded really, really well. So there is not a lot of difference in quality and picture quality between that Blu-ray and this 4K. You will see a little bit of difference in color, and the UHD, the the HD10, whatever they call it, does help bring some depth to the darkness and into the brightness as well. But I think for picture quality, if that's the main reason you get 4Ks, if you've already got the Blu-ray, as long as it's not that very first edition, you're not going to notice a lot of picture quality. And I've seen a lot of other people say the same thing. So I've heard some people say it's a trashy 4K. I would not say that. It looks fine. It's not got a whole lot of digital noise reduction going on. There's still some grain in the image. It looks really nice.
But I like film grain, so
I do too. I'm happy when there's a lot of film grain, actually. But I like at least a little of it. And this one has a little. They found a nice balance. One of the reasons you might think you would want to get this 4K is the soundtrack, because one of the only new things that they've added to this release is a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. But as I have come to discover, having a home theater and listening to Dolby Atmos soundtracks, is that Dolby Atmos soundtracks are not all the same. They're not created equal. Some of them really take advantage of the extra speakers, and others just don't. And they've got a nickname for those, Dolby Atmos. I am sad to say that this is a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. Although Edward Scissorhands was never the kind of movie designed to take advantage of height speakers or really a whole lot of immersive surround sound in general. The only thing you're going to notice a little in the surrounds is Danny Elfman's score. I did not notice any sound effects in the surround speakers. I did not notice any ambience in the surround speakers. I'm a big fan of ambience in the surround speakers. Love it. I don't get it enough. A little of the score. But again, I don't know that this movie needs all of that. The important thing that they get right with this release and the sound is Danny Elfman's score is big. It is loud. It is present. If you've seen some other releases from Sony, Disney as of late, and I'm talking about Krull in particular, that score was recessed. It sounded far away, and it did not sound good. And I was surprised. I was worried that this would also have that, because one of the best things about this movie is Danny Elfman's score. I'm happy to say it's there. It has good bass, and the movie looks and sounds great. But again, if you've got a Blu-ray, as long as it's not that first one, you're good. You probably don't need a 4K. Unless you just love the movie so much and you got to have every edition, which quite frankly, that's me. I love this movie. I have to have all of them. This Steelbook, I don't think is that good looking. It's not terrible.
I'm not a fan of the cover.
This cover doesn't do much for me. Now, I am also a nerd. You don't have to play the clip, but I am. Do you see the typography there, Edward Scissorhands on the spine? I hate that typography. That is not the original typography that they used to market the film in 1990. When I first bought this movie for my collection a few years back, all of them had this typography except a Japanese steelbook. And I bought the Japanese steelbook just because
of the typography.
The typography matches the movie. When you watch the movie, the typography matches. That with this movie and with a handful of movies, things have to be a particular way. I also like the front cover artwork on that Japanese steelbook as well. So
that is some level 5 nerding right there.
So I bought this steelbook. It's around $40. Disney, Sony steelbooks 4Ks are pricey. They're all like at least $40, and some of them are $50. So, and the Disney's only putting movies like this out on steelbook. Like, they don't put out a regular slipcover edition. In the UK, you can get a slipcover edition of this, but in America, the only way you can get it is this $40 steelbook. And I think that might be another reason why it may not sell that well. The interior artwork is pretty good. I would have liked that better for the front than the interior, but there you have it. That's my 4K review. It's not a bad 4K, but if you've got a Blu-ray, I don't see a need for you to upgrade. Now, in terms of visiting the set, I wanted to start something. I have a little video clip I want to play for that, if I can locate it in my big pile of clips. Dum, dum, dum. There it is. When I went to this media workshops in 1990, they told us on Sunday night, as they were, giving us orientation, that on one day of the week, we would go to a studio lot, and then we'd be shown around. And I knew Edward Scissorhands was coming because a year before, 1989, was Batman. And I was a huge Batman fan. Loved that movie, went gaga over it. It's probably one of 5 movies throughout my whole childhood and adolescence that I went the most gaga over. Edward Scissorhands was one of them as well. As soon as I realized that Tim Burton did Batman, he was on my radar. And in the spring of 1990, Kurt Loder on MTV told me that Tim Burton's next movie was going to be Edward Scissorhands. And he showed some pictures, and I was like, hot damn, I'm excited about this movie. I knew it was 20th Century Fox, too. So when they said you're going to go to a studio, in my head, I was like, Fox, Fox, Fox. And then they said Fox. And I was like, yeah, life sucks, but every now and then you get a victory. So they took us to this soundstage. It wasn't 20. I've looked up the research since. I know Edward Scissorhands shot on stages, I think it was 14, 15, and 16. So it was one of those stages. But it looked like this. And we waited outside this big door until someone came. I don't know if it was a key or what he had to get, but he had to get something to like let us in. And when they let us in, this thing was huge.
The topiaries.
You have no idea how big a soundstage is. Like the pictures don't do it justice. It's like you don't see the other end. I don't remember lights being on the soundstage. The door was open, and the sunlight coming in through the mammoth door was really all that illuminated the sets that we were looking at. And you couldn't see the back wall. It was just monstrous. So there were like 7 or 8 different sets on this one studio soundstage.
I think it's interesting in this movie how shooting on a soundstage was kind of a feature of the film. It was kind of a feature of the look of the film.
The artifice of it.
Yeah, the artifice of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of Tim Burton movies require that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the first things I noticed, and again, here I am, wanting to go to Fox, also hoping that I would see sets from Edward Scissorhands. And the door opens, and before I see any sets inside, what I see is that deer with the antlers propped up against the wall right inside when you open the door and walk in. And there were other topiaries all leaning up against the wall, too. So I was like, that's fucking Edward. Oh, I said a dirty word. That's Edward Scissorhands. That's Edward Scissorhands. Hell yeah. And this is like probably one of the happiest days of my life. That's how sad my life is, as much as this was a great day. But I saw all the topiaries, and then they took us to, like we had to walk a little ways before we could see anything. And then the first thing we saw was this table with the neighborhood of the movie with the castle on a hill. It was all in model miniature, and it's for the opening scenes when we're kind of flying over that neighborhood. And I remember after everyone walked off, I lingered at that table longer than anyone else. And I looked around and no one was looking. And I thought, I could reach out and tear that castle off that hill. And I bet they wouldn't see me, but I was too scared to do it. And I didn't. So I probably would have gotten caught. They didn't let us. This is the shot of the neighborhood that I'm talking about, embedded there. And after that neighborhood table, what we saw was the interior of the castle. When Diane Wiest arrives at the beginning of the movie, I saw this scarecrow-looking thing at the bottom of the stairs, and the stairs were there. The lighting of the movie makes a huge difference, so I really don't remember it looking this way. I don't even remember the walls in this set. I just remember the scarecrow and the stairs. But that was pretty cool. And next to the stairs was an elevated set that they wouldn't let us go up on. There were stairs leading up to it, and we could only kind of sit down on the floor, stand on the floor of the soundstage and look up at it. And it was basically the whole attic area with the big hole in the roof where Edward sleeps. That set, which is coming up in a picture here very soon. There, that set. So I didn't get to like walk where she's walking, but I was able to see that big hole in the ceiling. I definitely remember seeing that. And there's another shot from that set. And then the third and final thing I got to see from Edward Scissorhands was the cookie factory, where Vincent Price's character has the initial idea of turning one of these automatons in the cookie factory into Edward Scissorhands. For some reason, Edward Scissorhands he was made out of a robot chopping celery. And my question is celery an ingredient in cookies?
It is not any cookies that I would eat, and I'll eat almost any cookie, but not a celery cookie.
I guess Tim Burton just really needed him chopping something, and there wasn't anything cookie related. So
it couldn't have been pecans. I don't know.
Well, if you watch the movie, it's celery.
That's funny.
So I saw a lot of the gizmos and gadgets of this whole contraption, and then after that, they showed us some sets from Predator 2. And I'm sure at some point we'll talk about Predator 2, so I'll save what I remember from that for another day. But the movie itself, I guess it's one of my favorite movies. It affected me so deeply growing up, and I guess I need to synopsize it briefly for people who may not have seen it. It is a weird little fairy tale. It's this perfect suburban little world. This Avon lady, played by Diane Wiest, who's just trying to make a sale, decides to drive up this mountain and knock on the door on the off chance that someone will be there to buy some of her makeup. And there's no one there, but she discovers this strange man, Edward Scissorhands, played by Johnny Depp, in the attic, and he's scared. She sees cuts on his face because his hands are scissors. He's going to hurt himself that way. And she just wants to take care of him. She says, you should just come home with me. So the first hour of Edward Scissorhands is him integrating into this idyllic fantasy suburban world where everything seems nice at first because he's a celebrity and everyone's like wanting to meet him. All the neighborhood women, they want him to cut their hair. They want him to cut their dogs' hairs. And he cuts their bushes into the shrubbery, into the nice sculptures that you see all over the yards. But at a certain point, they turn against him. And when they turn against him, they do. The story has its ways. Like, they're trying to get him to raise money to like get a loan to like start a business or something. And Winona Ryder plays the daughter in the family that takes him in. And her boyfriend tries to get him to steal money from the boyfriend's dad, and then he gets in jail, and basically just it's a slippery slope. And Kathy Baker, who I think is a great actor and she's good in this movie, her character basically wants to screw Edward Scissorhands, and when he rejects her at a certain point, she like starts gossiping negatively about him and saying that he tried to do some not nice things to her. Basically, they try to cancel Edward Scissorhands. So the last 45 minutes is just shit hitting the fan. And it gets worse and worse to the point where Edward realizes that he's got to run back up to the castle and just live by himself up in the castle for the rest of his life because he'll never fit in with the normal folks. And that's the movie. I relate with the movie on such a deep personal level. When I was in high school, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was a closeted gay guy. And I hadn't come to terms with that, but I think in the years since, I think it explains why I related with Edward. I don't think that's the only reason. A lot of people that are outsiders and outcasts relate with Edward Scissorhands. Tim Burton, a prime among them. But the fact that he couldn't touch people, his scissors hands would hurt them. And at one point, Winona Ryder asks him to hold her, and he like holds up his scissor hands and he says, I can't. And like that moment just really struck me, and it always has, because he couldn't touch who he wanted to touch. And I kind of felt the same way. It's like his inclination is something that he'll never be able to fully realize. And that's how I felt. And so my heart went out to this little guy, and I related with him so heavily. And on top of that, I think Caroline Thompson, who wrote the screenplay, I don't think it's a masterful screenplay. It's not. I think the first hour meanders quite a bit, and it could be a little tighter. I think the last 45 minutes is pretty tight, though, once the shit hits the fan and you know what this movie's really about. It's strong in the last half. And I love the score by Danny Elfman. He has said it's his favorite score still to this day of anything he's ever written. I have to agree. It's in my top 10 film scores of all time. It's so good. And just the look of it, I had never seen a movie that was like a bent on reality like this. The neighborhood where they all live is in pastel colors. And it's real, but it's unreal. And I know that's been done by other filmmakers, but for me, this was one of the first films where reality wasn't quite real. there was a poetic license to the whole thing that I just found overwhelmingly beautiful. And the truth is that I still cry when I watch this fucking movie. And even when I talk about it, I almost do. So, one of you talk.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen this one for a long while, but it was one of my sister's favorites. So on and off throughout her childhood, she put it on. I always thought it was really strange, to say the least. But it's one I need to revisit soon, especially all the themes that you hit on, for sure.
I like how it borrows from so many things, so many contemporary things, but also so many old things. It's got elements of Frankenstein. It's got elements of the what do I think? Oh, sorry, the CW shows, or Desperate Housewives, and it just works on a lot of levels, and it's one of my favorite Tim Burton films.
I think it's a hard movie for some people because Tim Burton, the way he conceives of movies is often just with a cartoon that he draws. I remember the characters for Batman Returns. He drew them and then just gave them to the departments that needed to build the costumes and everything. Everything to him. And Edward Scissorhands started with an image. And I think he and Caroline Thompson said, this is the movie. It's this picture. Come up with a story for this character. So the imagery alone means something. The fact that he's in a costume that's cut up and torn up, the fact that he has scissors for hands, what does that imply? The visuals, and I've heard Guillermo del Toro say something similar to the effect of whatever color you choose to make something tells a story. The shape of things on the sets tells a story. There is storytelling quality in every creative decision. And a director like Tim Burton relies on that more than others. And I think some audiences are going to be in tune with that more than others. And if you are, you're going to get more out of the movie. And if you're not, you might just find this a goofy, weird, silly little movie. I remember being depressed after seeing Siskel and Ebert review this movie because they hated it. They just didn't understand the point, and they thought it was violent for no reason, and they clearly just didn't get it. And I think I understand why someone would watch it and get that opinion. And I kind of feel sorry for those people. Not that they need to appreciate Edward Scissorhands. I'm sure you can live a perfectly good life without liking this movie. But man, I get so much out of it. But you have to have an open mind to some extent to let it in, to let it in and to let it affect you. So that's my emotional review of Edward Scissorhands that I wasn't expecting.
It's like the centerpiece of the episode, Scott.
Oh, sure.
It is.
I knew it was going to be a big thing to talk about because it's one of my favorite movies. It's a movie that I wanted to be one of my favorite movies. And lo and behold, it did live up to my expectations. And it still is one of my favorites. I consider anything a 9 or a 10 a favorite. 10s are masterpieces. 9s are movies that just have a few things wrong. Like I said, I think it has trouble setting up where it's going in the first hour. It meanders a bit long. And some of the acting from Winona Ryder and Anthony Michael Hall aren't quite what I would have done, but they're not bad. So I give it a 9 out of 10. What do you guys think? You've seen this movie, Dave. Where do you land on it?
I would also give it a 9 out of 10.
There's David's score.
Benjamin?
And
It's been so long. I can't really.
do you refrain from scoring?
Yeah, I abstain.
All right, Ben abstains. You're allowed to hate Edward Scissorhands, Ben.
No,
You're
I
allowed.
don't.
This is one of those movies that I watch at least once a year. So
I used to watch it that frequently, but I had not seen it in many years. So it was really fun to revisit it this last Friday night. It's a beautiful film. Beautiful, beautiful film. And now we're going to move on to what I'm calling the time warp. So on most of our shows, if we see anything that's now in theaters, we'll talk about that. And if there's anything new on 4K, we'll talk about that. But then we spend our last half of the show on just movies that are old, for lack of a better word. They're old. Now, how old? Well, We've got one from 2012 tonight. We've got a couple from the early 2000s. We've got one from 1956 and one that is 98 years old. Almost 100 years old. That's why it's called Cinema Century. So we're going to enter that. And as we do, we're going to start it with a little video clip. Argo! Or Argo F yourself if you've seen the movie. I will try to get rid of that score. There you go.
There we go.
Now, Dave, this was one of your picks. So do you want to attempt to explain what it's about?
It is about it is about a CIA operation during the 1970s, I think 79 Iran hostage crisis, where some workers at the embassy in Tehran end up escaping and hiding out in the Canadian, I believe
Ambassador.
it's a Canadian ambassador's house. And so the CIA launches a rescue attempt, basically, using a film production, a sci-fi film production, kind of like inspired by Star Wars, I think, to create a film crew and get these people out under the guise of being part of this film crew, and who are scouting a location in Tehran, and they're presented as a Canadian film crew because it was safer to be a Canadian, and then that is how they're kind of spirited away out of the country and returned to the United States. And this movie was, I believe, it was written and directed by Ben Affleck, and it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won also, I think, some Golden Globes.
I don't think he wrote it, but he did direct it. I'm looking at the IMDb page. Yeah, it looks like it had some other writers. He won an Oscar for writing Good Will Hunting, though.
He did. He produced it. He directed and produced it and also starred in it.
Yes. So this movie is a thriller. It's a weird movie. Like if someone had told me, oh, you need to see this movie called Argo, first it'd be like, what the hell does that mean? What did you say? Are you saying Fargo? No, Argo. Argo's the name of the fake movie. So you have to get past the title, and then you have to get past the fact that it's a political thriller. So there's like political machinations in the plot. But if you just take a little faith and just watch this movie, I think most people would really enjoy this movie because it opens with a bang with that embassy being overrun by Iranian people who are going to hurt the people inside the American embassy. So the 6 people escape with barely their lives, and then they're trapped at the Canadian ambassador's house for the rest of the movie while Ben Affleck decides the best way to try and save them is to create this fake movie. So he has to go talk to a director or a producer, I think Alan Arkin's playing, and a makeup artist that I think John Goodman's playing. And they have to concoct all this to make it look real enough so that if anyone in Iran investigates what their claims are, that it's real. And I don't know how much of this movie's true or not. It is based on a true story. That's the other really compelling part of this whole thing. This really happened.
It really happened. Yeah.
This fake movie was really advertised in the trades.
Really advertised, and there was a fake office number set up for it, and the whole infrastructure for the movie, and there was a casting call and a read through, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Did you notice Adrienne Barbeau in this movie?
I did not.
I thought it looked like her, and then I did see her name in the credits. She plays one of the actors reading at the read-through, who was married to Alan Arkin's character at one point.
Wow. No, I
She's
didn't
only
notice
got like
that.
one line.
I've seen this movie probably half a dozen times, and I've never noticed that.
Well, any Barbeau is a good Barbeau. This movie, I was never bored. I saw it when it first came out, and I liked it, but I didn't remember it. So watching it again in prep for the show, I was like, damn, this is riveting. Like,
it is. It's got a lot of those, like edge of your seat, tense moments where, just, a few seconds in one direction and everything could go south,
Yeah. Now, I did read that the whole third act climax is largely fictional.
Yeah,
It was not that exciting in real life.
I'm sure probably not. Yeah.
But give them a little poetic license, and then you'll enjoy this movie, because it's a nail biter trying to get the people out. And there's so many good performances in this movie. Every little part. Like I just said, Adrienne Barbeau has one line. Like, she's not chopped liver. They got really good people for even one line. Affleck is really good. He's very subdued, but he's very good. You can tell that he's wearing a lot on his face.
Alan Arkin is one of my favorite parts of the movie too. His character is.
He got nominated for supporting actor.
Yeah.
For this one, I think this was a few years after he won for Little Miss Sunshine, but he is really good. I wish his part was bigger. It's not. It's a decent sized little role. Bryan Cranston is really good in this movie. Like, when he yells at people, like they respond. Like, yes. You can't have Bryan Cranston yell at you and not do what he wants.
I will say that one of the tensest moments in the movie, where the Iranians are trying to literally tape together shredded sheets of paper that have the dossiers of the missing.
The six.
Yeah. And that literally happened. That did happen in real life. That was one of those things that they did do. They retrieved all these shredded copies, and they had children set with Scotch tape and taped these dossiers back together a piece at a time.
And that scenes of that is cross-cut with them trying to get out of the country. Because as soon as these kids put these puzzle pieces together, they're going to show them to their superiors, and then they're going to know who they're looking for. The Iranians are going to know who they're looking for to, like, capture them and presumably kill them. So to know the political backdrop, the movie explains all of that within the first 5 minutes as to why there's this tension between the Iranians at large and the American government. Basically, the American government did some shady shit. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
So they kind of deserved what happened to some extent. I would dare say you could argue that. But you still sympathize with the protagonists in this movie for sure. The particular Oscars this won was picture. It was the best picture of 2012, and it also won for adapted screenplay and film editing. Nominated for score, for Alan Arkin's supporting performance, sound editing, and sound mixing, which in the home theater I can vouch for. All those sound awards were worthy. I enjoyed it a lot, Dave. How much did you enjoy it?
Let's see. Dave would give this a solid 7, I think.
I am going to actually one-up you and say it's an 8. Ben, have we piqued your interest with this one?
Absolutely. I love political thrillers. Big Tom Clancy fan growing up. I was completely ignorant of this one before this review. I didn't realize Bryan Cranston was in it. And no, this has definitely been shortlisted for something I got to check out now.
John Goodman is in it also.
John Goodman's got a good role. John Goodman is playing the guy who did all the makeup effects for the Planet of the Apes movies. That is a real person he's playing, and he actually did this. Alan Arkin's character, I found out, is an amalgamation of 4 different people in real life. That his character's name is Lester Siegel, is a real person, but he's not strictly playing just that person. He's also performing the roles of 3 other people. But they do that a lot of movies, so you don't have to have a whole lot of different characters to introduce. You got to streamline that script sometimes,
Yeah,
all right.
They did that with the Chernobyl series. They condensed 80 Belarusian scientists into one character for that series.
Well, let's move on to the next one. Saved. 2004. Now, Dave, this was another pick that you made. I had seen it, and I rewatched it again to freshen my memory, but do you want to try and introduce this one as well, since it was one of your picks?
Yeah, so this is a movie about an all-Christian school and a girl who finds herself pregnant with her gay boyfriend's baby.
That is a predicament. That is a good way to hook an audience, I think. Now, she thought she was doing the Lord's will. She
Yes,
prayed. She
she was
prayed on it.
she was trying to save him from his gayness by having sex.
Yes,
It
if
makes
they
perfect
had
sense to
sex,
me.
yes, she really thought she was doing the right thing, and I think he did too. All these characters are sweet and naive, with the exception of one of the girls, but you'll like her anyway because she's so different. But yeah, it starts off that way, and basically, as she gets more and more pregnant, visibly, like the whole question is like, how is the school and her mother? How's everyone going to deal with that? They made her boyfriend, her gay boyfriend, go stay at some like house. I don't remember what they called it, but it's where they send all the trouble kids who have issues that, they're pregnant, they're gay.
It sounded like one of those gay conversion programs, basically.
I was thinking it was just a place where they hide you. If you don't set the example that they want all of the kids in the school to live by, they just hide you in this other place and ostracize you.
Well, he mentions that he in the movie that he thinks he's close to being cured. So
He does at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of gay guys have been there. It's like, I think I can, and then no, it's hard. It's very hard. So I did see that this was the feature directorial debut of the director Brian Danley. He went on to direct episodes of Weeds and Pushing Daisies, as well as several other TV shows. The movie, I think it's not as dark as some people would like it to be. I think it has the potential to be like Heathers and just be a really biting satire of super, super, super Christian people who are so inflexible in their moral, I don't know, the standards that they set for themselves, that if anything troublesome happens, their world collapses on itself. So to keep that from happening, they have to shun everyone. Like the gay guy gets put off, and then this pregnant girl, she's going to have to get put off into the house and out of sight, out of mind as well. I think the movie, it's not making fun of all Christians. It's making fun of the ones who are completely inflexible and the ones who ostracize the people that just fall a little outside the norms, or the ones that don't quite fit your perfect moral outlook on the world. And because teenagers get pregnant, it happens. And people are gay. I can promise you that. I'm proof of it. It happens. And you can't just ostracize them. You have to let them in. The movie does, the Christian characters do change. Like, they don't remain the antagonists the whole time. Mandy Moore's character is a biatch.
She is
a biatch.
Yeah,
but even she
goes through a transformation. Even she goes through a redemption arc.
Yeah, she hits a pretty low.
She does.
Before she realizes that she's not doing what Jesus wants her to do. She needs to change.
In addition to a pregnant girl with a gay boyfriend, there is a disabled kid with a Jewish juvenile delinquent girlfriend.
We're talking about Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin, yeah, who kind of like steals the show.
He is cool.
Occasions. Yeah,
he and his girlfriend are my two favorite characters in this movie.
Mine also,
because they're the more real. They're like us. They're like more normal. They're in the school, but they're not super super Christian in and of themselves. They're not putting on airs. They're not forcing their outlook on everyone around them. They're more relatable. And I loved them. I wanted more of them, actually. But I still thought the movie was cute. I liked Patrick Fugit as the new potential boyfriend for Jenna Malone's main character. I did like pretty much the whole cast. All of the young people are really good. I think Jenna Malone's a really good actor. I just saw her in another movie recently called Swallowed, and she's still really good. And this was 20 years later, almost, that she made that movie. So she's always been a really good actor. You might remember her. She played young Jodie Foster in Contact also. And she's Donnie Darko's girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah. One of my favorite scenes with her in this movie is when she is worried that she might be pregnant. And she's hoping that it's cancer. And she's riding her bike along going, please let it be cancer. Please let it be cancer. Because that would be preferable.
Yeah.
To being a pregnant teenager at a Christian school.
So when you said this movie, if if you had suggested we watch this movie 10 years ago, I would have been much more on the side of the leftist side, for lack of a better word, and just ready to want to hate on the antagonists in this movie. I'm more in a centrist. I want to be a mediator. I want to try and hear all sides. So when I was rewatching this movie, I was keenly attuned to how are these Christian characters portrayed. Is this the kind of movie that's going to throw fuel on the fire? Because we have a fire burning today that's way worse than when this movie came out in 2004. And I have to say it does not. I really don't think it does. It's fair. It is fair. There are people like these Christian characters in this movie. I know them. I have known them. And they are too far in one direction, and they need to kind of come back to the middle and listen to people. So while the movie does have Christian characters as antagonists, I would say before you judge this movie, if you've never seen it, see it, because I think you'll see that they are treated as real people with real problems, and it's something all Christians have to deal with. Whether, I don't know, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I just wanted to say I think it's respectful of people who have differing beliefs and opinions. And I respect that there are people out there who have a hard time coming to terms with teen pregnancy and the fact that gay people exist. But movies like this maybe can help some people meet in the middle, on these issues.
Yeah,
it's a sweet little movie. It's sweet. It doesn't try to hurt anyone.
It's 20 years old, and I think it still holds up really well today. Maybe even better now than when it's made. I don't know, but yeah.
It's not on any format past DVD, though. It has no HD release. And I was going to ask you, do you think maybe, is it because Macaulay Culkin plays a disabled character and he is an able-bodied actor? Because people are very PC about that kind of thing these days.
I don't know. I don't think so, unless that was like maybe a studio decision, like a studio concern, or a distributor concern. I've never heard anybody criticize this particular movie that way. On the other hand, this movie isn't very high on people's radar, which is why I wanted to bring it up.
Yes.
So.
It is the kind of movie that I like for us to try and bring up, ones that are just not streaming, not on disc. How are you going to know about it otherwise? I bet a lot of people haven't heard about it. So what would you rate it, Dave, on your 1 to 10 scale?
I would also give this a 7.
I am one under you. I'm giving it a 6. I liked it, but I didn't think it was very exceptional. But it's fine. It's a good movie. And honestly, it's the kind of movie where it depends on what your appetite for the evening is. If you just want a light movie that will entertain you and is charming and cute, and you don't want to think too heavy or too hard about things, this is the kind of movie that you might turn to.
Yeah.
And I would reiterate that Macaulay Culkin, and we got to say the name of the girl that plays his girlfriend, because
Heather Matarazzo.
Oh, no, that's not her. I know who she is.
Oh, I thought that was her.
That's the girl from Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Oh, then I don't know.
I think she's Eva Murray.
Eva Murray?
I think that's her.
Well,
she's really good. She's really good.
I can tell you real quick. Yeah, you're right. It's Eva Murray.
I don't know why we haven't seen some of these people. Whenever they're really good in one movie and you never see them again, I just figure they're real assholes on set. No one wants to work with them. So I hope that's not the case with Miss Murray. We'll never know.
The reason that I give this movie a 7 is because, it's one of those kind of films where people say, why doesn't Hollywood do anything different? Why is it always,
well, especially today.
And I think this movie deserves just at least an extra point for being brave enough to do what it does. So
I would say that it was probably easier for them to deal with this kind of divisive stuff 20 years ago.
I agree. Yeah.
The environment today, I don't think they would do it. I could be wrong, but they're a lot more scared to do things like that today. It might
be a movie that might not have been made today. I don't know.
Well, the fact that it's an indie movie at all, like they only make blockbusters now. They're starting to. The streamers have changed things though, but 5 or 7 years ago, there was only blockbusters and no indie stuff. Things are changing. We can all be saved. Let's hope the industry of motion pictures gets saved as well. All right, it's Ben's turn. Ben picked this
Yeah.
movie. And I will say that we are divided on this one. So we'll have our first fun little fight. I'll preface this by saying, movies are just movies. When I was younger, I would see a movie and love it so much that if you didn't like it, I thought you were dumb. And I didn't like you. I told one girl when I was in college, I thought she was subhuman because she didn't like Contact. The Robert Zemeckis movie. And Isabel, if you're out there, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You are not subhuman. You are a wonderful human being, and I was just an idiot. As the older you get, the more you realize truly how subjective things are. And the movies aren't made for everyone. They really aren't. It's going to happen. So when we fight, it's all in fun, and we hope that you'll have the same kind of outlook if you're out there in the chat. Ben, do you want to tell us about the basic premise?
Yeah, so I want to start with an anecdote about this one. So we had a family video in my hometown, kind of my high school days. We'd go there on the weekends, my buddies and I would just grab a stack of whatever looked interesting. We didn't care if it was awful. In fact, most of the time we expected the movies to be pretty awful, but that was half the charm. And I picked up this one thinking like, okay, well, it looks cool. I think it was the same cover as the asset you have here in the video store. And we put it on and it was incredible, like right off the hop. It was really cool because Kevin McKidd, who kind of plays the main character in this one, he actually does a lot of voice acting in video games. In particular, even though you guys probably don't play video games, you probably heard of Call of Duty.
Heard of it.
But yeah, when Call of Duty started doing more cinematic stuff with their stories, his character was one of the big ones in there. So I was already thrown like, oh my God, it's Soap. So that's the character's name. It's Soap. And, he's in this, Scottish infantry team, and they are in the wilderness of the Scottish Highlands, and they're on a training exercise. They're cold. They're pissed off because they're missing the footy. They call it, the soccer game. And they're on this training exercise against the SAS, or Special Forces. And, well, as the night progresses, things fall apart. Giant dead cow falls in their campsite. And they find out it's been mauled by werewolves. And shortly, they're besieged by the werewolves, and they end up in a cottage, and it kind of turns into a siege film at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like Night of the Living Dead, right down to we got to get to this truck and later on light it on fire kind of thing.
I thought it was a combination of Night of the Living Dead and Aliens because of all the militaristic stuff.
Yeah, but one of the things that's just really exceptional about this film are the werewolves. They look so good. And it was funny because this film is kind of notorious for not having a very good transfer, and it can be kind of hard to see. It's dark. But I watched the Second Sight 4K recently, and those werewolves hold up even with the brighter picture and clearer picture and things like that. So, I think outside of, Scott, my feeling on werewolf films, The Howling is...
Yeah, we like them. We both agree on that.
Yeah, like I think The Howling is the apex of werewolf effects.
Well, you're wrong about that, but go on.
And this is right up there with it, in my opinion. So it's a fun, action film with some great creature effects and some really like disturbing gore scenes, actually. And this is the same director as the Descent as well.
Yeah, this was his debut.
He definitely
feature.
does the creatures justice and makes them scary and makes it like you genuinely fear for the characters falling into their hands. So.
Yeah, I think that they, the movie only takes place in a very limited area, right? So they didn't, budget-wise, they didn't have to do a whole lot, and you could tell that they put all their budget in the werewolves because the werewolves look amazing.
Yeah. The acting too, like I just like I was watching it with my wife, who is Indian, and she was completely lost with all of the slaying. Like I get a little bit lost. It gets muddled for me too sometimes. And it was funny because there's one where there's like, oh, this is this is totally bone or something. And I'm like, what the hell is bone? And they actually explain that one, but it's just like you just go on, and then they have this exchange where I'm just laughing because they're just going back and forth about how pissed off they are. They're missing the football game.
Yeah, you mentioned that this is set in Great Britain, right? It's set in
the Scottish Highlands. Yeah,
Highlands. Yeah, I like to imagine that this movie and 28 Days Later exist in the same universe, and it's these poor British soldiers, and it's just like one fucking thing after another, you know?
Yeah. Well, these guys are a lot more likable than the soldiers in the 28 Days Later, for sure.
Well, some of them are, not all of them, but yeah.
I won't go into too many spoilers, but I did end up caring about all the characters because right off the hop, they establish this rapport with each other. The banter is great. There was this moment that was really standout moment right early on where they're camping for the night and the squad leader is telling the story about how he was in the Gulf War and how a guy got a tattoo saying, Satan was going to save his skin. And he steps on a landmine, and the only part of him that's intact was a tattoo that says, Satan's gonna save my skin. And it was just a really, really cool anecdote that didn't have to be there, but it just set the tone so well. Even better than there was kind of a prologue, sort of obligatory couple gets mauled by the werewolves, sort of, inciting incident kind of thing.
That scene's kind of interesting because it's like a throwback to the old like 80s horror movies where, the girl that dares to have sex is the first one to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it also kind of does a little bit of a Chekhov's gun with the silver knife that barely comes in till the very end.
Yeah.
But it does eventually. But
yeah, I was even wondering, is that silver? Surely it is. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't hate this movie, but I don't like it either. I'm really kind of in the middle on it. You said you watched the 4K and that it looked good. I've only seen a DVD, and I really don't like the way this movie looks. And I don't like the way it's framed. Almost the entire movie's in medium close-ups. There are very few wide shots. It's ugly in execution to me in a weird way. And I don't know if it was just shot. It has a weird shot on BBC video kind of look.
Whatever.
I don't care for the aesthetics of it. That alone wouldn't be enough for me to not like a movie, though. The werewolf effects, I don't think they're as great as you guys do.
Really?
Well,
I don't think they're
You're allowed to be wrong, I guess.
I am. I think it works, but I don't. When you're talking about special effects, I don't think they move. I mean, it's just a guy with a hat on that's shaped like a werewolf, and they're running around, and they use really fast editing to like make it look good, and it does look good by and large. It does, but it's still just a guy in a suit, and there's so much jerky editing and the handheld photography. This is one of the most handheld shot movies I've ever seen, and I don't like handheld. The score is really low in the mix, but really loud in actual performance. So it's like,
yeah, it gives
the impression that like the movie hates its own score.
It's a very like post-90s European action score for sure. Like I wouldn't say that's an especially like a standout part of the film. I think if I had to underline, it's going to be the werewolves and the characters. I really like.
I didn't hate the characters, but I didn't love them either. I was on the fence about them too, and that's probably why I'm ultimately on the fence, because the monsters are okay. If I loved the characters, I'd probably like the movie more, but I just thought they were all right. I thought the guy from Game of Thrones was the best actor. Liam Cunningham, I think is his name, maybe. And the others were just like all right. I thought it seemed like a direct-to-video movie. Like if this was a direct-to-video movie in 1992, it would be awesome. But instead it's a theatrical movie in 2002, and I get why it has a cult following. It just didn't quite... It's just not one that I need in my library. It's not one of my favorites. But I'm glad people love it. I'm glad there's a werewolf movie that doesn't suck. Because most of them do.
Most of them do, yeah. Most modern, post-80s werewolf movies suck pretty hard.
I did Google this one, and if Google can be trusted, and goodness knows it can't, so take this with a grain of salt. It said Jason Statham was originally cast in Kevin McKidd's role,
Really?
Oh,
but he had to drop out at the last minute to do something else.
I'm really glad that Kevin McKidd was in the role. He's
Yeah, I think
also
so too,
noteworthy
actually.
for Rome series that HBO had there a while back.
I also have to say that all these guys look the same. They all have the same clothing on. They all have the same like hat on. So like they're all talking. They all have thick Scottish accents, and I'm like, who is who? I don't know. They're just they're. It's like those clones from the Star Wars Clone Wars, like talking to each other. Like they're all the same person.
You know how it is with British people; they all look alike to me.
Well, these ones did for the most part. Once they took their hats off, I could tell more of a difference. I don't know. I didn't see the directorial flair that I later saw in The Descent in this movie. Like if I didn't know they were directed by Neil Marshall, both of them, I would never have guessed it. Because to me, The Descent is so much better done. It's so much more elegant and paced better. I don't know. We got to start somewhere though, I guess. And there's this jump between Dog Soldiers and The Descent to me is like a huge jump. I think The Descent's one of the best horror films of the last quarter century, easily.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, especially the scene where, they go out to the barn and they see, like, because they say, well, that's kind of where they're holding out, someplace warm. And then they find one of their comrades that's like being eaten alive, basically, when they're in the barn. I feel like that was on par with the creepiness of.
That was a nice moment.
Yeah.
That was.
So.
But there were moments, but I didn't feel like he led into them well. I don't know. I just didn't think it was very elegantly done. It felt like a movie that had been taken over by someone else in post-production, and like it was kind of edited hastily or something. I don't know. What score would you give this film, Ben?
I would give it an 8.
Ben goes with an 8. Now, in my book, an 8 is I recommend this to most people.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do not recommend it to most people. I actually, if you're male, I think you'll probably like this movie. I think it's what most guys want in a movie. So I don't hate it, but I'm in the middle of. That's not Dave. Dave didn't rate it a 4. I got to pick my own score.
I give it a 6.
Okay.
6.
Well, we're fighting over the score. So Dave gives it a 6. That's in solid plus territory. I'm more on the fence. I'm a 5. I don't think it's bad, but I just don't think it's exceptional in any way. But if you're just looking for a monster movie or a werewolf movie, it will do in a pinch.
Yeah.
At least. So we're that's the one we might disagree with the most on this show. And that's okay. Now let's move backwards in time several decades to the 1950s and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This was Ben's pick, but I was glad he picked it. Ben, do you want to try and synopsize it?
Yeah, so on the surface, so I am reviewing this from, surface level. I don't really know the pedigree of the actors, directors, producers, anything else they've really done. But this is one of my mom's favorite films from this era, as far as pulpy horror goes, along with The Blob. But yeah, it's so.
Did she see it in the theater?
Oh, I don't think so.
TV probably.
Yeah. She would have only been 2 years old when this movie came out. So. But yeah, so this doctor in this town people are complaining of kind of a mass hysteria where they believe that the people around them aren't who they thought they were anymore. This woman believes her uncle isn't the same uncle. Little boy believes his mother isn't his mother anymore, and they're terrified. And as the story continues, the doctor realizes that there's something to this, especially when one of his friends finds an unfinished clone of himself on his pool table.
Yeah.
So one of the things about this movie, on the surface, it is like, just a very pulpy science fiction premise. I think what makes it stand out is the execution of the story. and how exceptional I think it is for this time period. Um, because because you just think, okay, people getting replaced and grown in seed pods or whatever. Like, it doesn't sound that scary, but then when you watch this film, it's like the way they deliver it, especially with the half-formed bodies. Yeah, like that scene when they find the seed pod for the first time, it just goes for it. There's no, what is this seed pod? And then it just erupts, and it's grotesque.
They look
and
like
it's
really high quality sex dolls.
Yeah. It's a surprisingly grotesque reveal with these seed pods. And when you see how people when they're replaced and how they change and they're emotionless, and
basically the I guess you call them aliens. They put a pod, one of these big like leafy seed pod things, near you, like they hide it in the trunk of your car or in your house somewhere, and somehow that thing like gets your DNA and like starts turning into you, and once you go to sleep,
yeah, it's like
it comes out and kills you.
That's the other side of it, where it's like when you fall asleep, that's when you get replaced, basically. And so there's that whole other angle where characters are just becoming more and more
Krueger thing going.
Yeah, they become more and more strung out as the movie goes on because they can't sleep. And yeah, so, and it's funny because for this time period too, some of the dialogue was surprisingly candid, where she's like, "Is this your bedside manner, doctor?" And he's like, "No, that comes later." That's actually pretty suggestive for.
Well, it was sort of a grindhouse movie.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be a grindhouse movie. It was like on a lot of double bills as the second feature. It wasn't a movie that the studio had much faith in. It was just product. They did not think it was going to be special or important. It was just product. But the people making it, like, they put some stuff into it, and the script is really good. I was watching behind the scenes stuff about this movie, prepping for the show, and someone said that this was one of the first science fiction movies for adults. Everything prior to this had giant ants or monsters and visceral stuff that would attract children in the audience, but this one doesn't have a lot of effects. What it has is good, but there's not a lot of it. It's more heady, it's more cerebral, and that drew more of an adult audience over the years. I think it didn't do well on theatrical release, but this got a lot of play on TV, and I think that's where it kind of built over the years in status.
Yeah, another moment that stood out in my mind ever since I was a kid is when he stabs the half-formed body with a pitchfork. I thought that was pretty like crazy for a black and white movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, that would be creepy, seeing versions of yourself that you would have to kill. I like the actor, the lead actor in this movie, Kevin McCarthy. I first knew him from Joe Dante movies because Joe Dante has cast him in Piranha, The Burbs, Matinee, Inner Space, Twilight Zone, the movie, The Howling. He's in all of that stuff. They were good friends, Joe Dante and this man right here on screen. He received an Oscar nomination 5 years before this movie for his performance as Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. And I also remember him from an episode of The Golden Girls because I'm a very big fan of The Golden Girls. So I like that this is what he's most famous for. Everyone knows him mostly for this.
I think he cameoed in the 78 one as well.
I think you're right. I saw him in the credits for that, but I don't personally remember him from that movie. I'll have to look for him when we watch that one in an upcoming show. They also have a member of the Addams family in this movie. Caroline Jones is not the lead female role that you see right there. That's a woman with the last name Winter. But she plays the wife or the girlfriend of the friend that they go to visit who discovers the pod person on his billiard table. And in the commentary for the movie, they say that she was not fun to work with, but they were just thinking she was having a bad time. Like, they didn't judge her. She just wasn't happy to work on the show. The lead actress didn't love being in this movie either because she just thought it was going to hurt her reputation. The movie was supposed to be called The Body Snatcher because it was based on a series of articles that had that name that was published in magazines, and then they turned those articles into a book. But the movie that Boris Karloff was in several decades before, called The Body Snatcher, was re-released in theaters shortly before this came out, so they felt like they had to change the title. So they added Invasion of. And the director, Don Siegel, and the cast and everyone's hearts just sank when they retitled it Invasion of the Body Snatchers because they thought they were doomed. This movie was just going to suck. But it's awesome. I mean, it is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's an alien invasion. I think the title totally works. They had no reason to worry. It's a very appropriate
I
title.
think they were just trying to distance themselves from from other pulp fare of the time, and
Sure.
Sci-fi movies had a kind of a stigma about them at the time that like you said, that they were kind of lowbrow. I mean, and that I think that kind of even persists to this day, a little bit, but back then, sci-fi movies were considered lowbrow and not
very lowbrow. It's amazing that there really were no sci-fi movies for like the 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
very hard to find any in those 2 decades. It was only the 50s that brought it out.
Yeah.
I think this movie's really well done. The director, Don Siegel, would go on to direct a lot of pretty decent movies. The one that comes most immediately to my mind is Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood. I think he directed some of the sequels for that too, but I could be wrong. It looks like a cheap movie. The film quality is not very good. It's hard to get a good home video version of this because I think the elements just aren't that great to start with, because it was just a cheap, quick movie that they threw together. But it has a good script, and everybody did a good job performing it. The score, the acting, it all works pretty damn well. It holds up. If I could change anything about it, I'd take off the beginning and the end. It's got this wraparound that is unnecessary. I think it would be a scarier movie without that.
It's funny when you mention the score, the scene where they find the body on the billiard table. It really starts to take off at that point, and my wife's like, "Okay, calm down. Tell us what they're looking at."
Yeah, things tended to be a bit overscored back then, but I like overscoring more than the underscoring we have today, where the scores are almost just ambient sound design. So I like a 50s dun 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 dun. That's pretty much what they're doing there.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention it has a lot of parallels with The Thing. Technically the 1982 Thing, but it also gave me the sense of the Thing from Another World. That this film and that are like the only two films from that era that really give me the creeps still watching it. So
yes, Kevin McCarthy, that's his biggest role in a Joe Dante movie, Robert, is in Inner Space, if I remember correctly. He plays the main villain in that, if I recall. But he's a good guy. Where do we lie on the... I like this movie. I love it more in memory. Watching it again, I just thought it was pretty good, but I didn't love it. I think I'm going to end up liking the remake, the 70s version, more. Whereas a few decades ago, I probably would have put them on par with each other. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give this one a 7. I'm gonna err. I do like it. I think it's remarkable. I think it's historically important in the history of film enough that it's almost required viewing.
yeah, I agree. A 7.
I will push the button for Ben. Ben gives it a 7.
I would also give it a 7. So that's sevens across the board. Lucky 7s.
7. Yep, 7 is a movie I don't quite recommend to everyone, but I know who to recommend this movie to. And if you love genre stuff and older stuff, you're going to love this movie. That's all there is to it. But I do think it's a significant enough film that most people should check it out, even if they're not necessarily going to love it. And then we've got one more movie. An old movie from a long time ago. I can't believe this movie's almost 100 years old. In 2 years, it will be 100 years old. We've been talking about a century of cinema, that films have been 100 years old for about 20 years. Because technically they were making films in 1900, but nothing that holds up today. This, I think if you go back further than this, there are only a handful of films significant enough that hold up to most people today. You could almost make the argument that Metropolis is the first movie that still matters. almost. I think you could go to the General and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and a couple of other silent movies. But this is one of the first really, really important, huge, giant, influential, significant films. And everyone needs to see this movie, even if you don't like silent films. I don't particularly love silent films. I only own 3. They're hard to watch. I understand that.
I
But
love
this,
silent films.
yeah, I know you do. You're like sitting at home watching Eisenstein's Potemkin for fun, for Christ's sake. I'm not that bad.
Eating borscht while I do it.
But I had seen Metropolis. I want to point out there were like 3 different versions of this. Actually, there are myriad versions of this movie at all different lengths because it was chopped up in every country that played it.
Yeah, there's a fairly new version, right, that came out maybe like in the last 5 years that's supposed to have a lot of like restored footage.
It might be a little older than that, and that version is the most complete. They're calling it the complete, but about 20 to 25 minutes of it is 16 millimeter, really grainy image that you'll see when the video plays here in a little bit. But that's all that exists. The most complete version of the film is 2 hours and 25 minutes long. That's the version that I've seen. Giorgio Moroder, as Dave is a fan of, and I did watch some of the Moroder's. Giorgio Moroder's an Oscar-winning composer who did his own music and got some rock artists like Freddie Mercury and Pat Benatar to do songs for this Metropolis and re-release it in the 80s.
What was funny?
It was only 90 minutes.
It was only 9 minutes. Well, the funny thing about this is that when I don't know if you remember when the trailer came out for Giorgio Moroder's Metropolis, but there was actually no mention of it being a silent film. And so I went to the theater to see that version and was shocked that I was watching a that I'd been tricked into watching a silent movie. But
they actually added some sound effects. Not all.
Yeah, a little bit.
But they did more than just add the score to it. And I thought it was fairly enjoyable, the Moroder version, but I do prefer the original score. Even though it's a silent film, they did have a full original score for the 2 hour and 25 minute version. Huppert's was the composer's name, I think. And they've released that on Blu-ray a decade or 15 years ago. And it's a really good score with leitmotif themes, the likes of what John Williams does for all the characters and situations. And I vastly prefer that version. I will say, though, that the 2.5 hour version is interesting to me, but it's not my preferred version. I think there's like a 2 hour version that's better. I don't need a couple of the subplots from the really long version. But since I love the film, it is interesting to see them.
Now, we haven't mentioned, and you probably should say something about what Metropolis is actually about.
Yes. But before that, do you know what year it takes place in?
I don't.
I don't remember.
Next year.
Wow.
Well, what's interesting about that is how relevant this movie is.
It's it's very relevant.
It's pretty sad that 100 years later, it's still.
All right, this is a hard movie to synopsize, so I'll start, but you guys need to join in if I go off on tangents because this movie has a lot going on. Like the 2.5 hour version, there's enough story for that, I guarantee you. But essentially, it's about this CEO/president's son, this whole city of Metropolis. The son of the guy that's in charge of it all, he's their main protagonist. Freder, I think is his name. He discovers a woman who represents the working class in this city. This woman named, I think she's named Maria.
Maria.
She and the working class all live underground with these huge machines, deadly dangerous machines that operate and make the city function. So they're out of sight. Like all the people above ground, they never see the people that make this world possible for them. The working class is literally underground. And they are hurting. They are dying. These machines kill them. They die from exhaustion and stuff. She's kind of a religious figure too. She goes to this place where there are a lot of crosses and they all meet there. And she tells them that there will be like a Kwisatz Haderach, like from Dune. Basically, this Messiah figure will help them build better relations at some point, prophesized with the leader of the aristocracy above ground. Basically, the theme of the movie is this: let's get the hands and the head of the city to talk, and the only way to do that is through the heart. So the hands are the workers under the ground. The head is the minds that think of everything, the paradigms in which they live, and then the heart is this Freder character, who, with Maria's help, I mean, I think she's the heart more than this Freder guy is. He just kind of lucks into it and takes her mojo. But he's like the mediator between them.
The way that dudes often do.
Yes, the way that dudes often do. That's the main A storyline, but there's this B storyline going on where the guy in charge, Freder's dad, I'm going to call him the president because I don't know what else to call him. Joe is his name. Joe is working with this mad scientist named Rotwang. I think they say Rotwang is how it should be pronounced, but I like Rotwang.
Rotwang.
So Joe is going to see Rotwang, and Rotwang and Joe, they used to have the same girlfriend a long time ago. And Joe doesn't realize how jealous Rotwang still is of the fact that he never got that girl. He has a statue of this woman like nearby that he like loves, and he still wants her. And he's building a robot who's the iconic image that you see in the poster there on the right side of the screen, and all kinds of imagery from this movie. The robot, I think they call her Futura, but they also call her the Maria robot, because this robot transforms into Maria, a human character. So it's a robot right now on screen that you see, and now she's human, so that no one knows that this Maria doppelganger is really an evil robot working for Rotwang to sow dissent around the country and create chaos to get back at his old friend Joe. And Rotwang is the real villain of the piece in the end. And I love that subplot. The evil robot Maria is a hoot. I love her. She's one of my favorite things about this movie, because she's played by the same actress, but she like goes and dances in front of men to get them all worked up. And there's some of my I think my most favorite stuff in this movie is all those close-ups of the eyeballs, the men watching her dance and getting all aroused. And they basically get so libidinous that they go out and start tearing up the city and stuff. And she's a hoot. But the workers end up, in the end, the other part of the movie I love the most is the flooding of the underground cities. Basically, the working class also gets worked up, and they go to like clash with the people above ground, and they forget about all of their children. And since they've torn up the machines that run the city, it results in this flooding. And Freder and Maria end up having to save all the children from this flood. And it's a really exciting sequence for a silent movie from 100 years ago. This movie, I'd seen it in college and I liked it, but then when I lived in California in the early 2000s, they released a version of it in theaters, and my friend CJ and I went to see it. Actually, Matt might have been there too. And it played so well in a theater in the 2000s, like 75, 80 years after it had come out. A lot of people are able to watch this silent movie like they're more than they're able to watch a lot of other ones. It's exciting. It's fun. Some of the imagery is amazing. It was the most expensive movie ever made at its time. It's beautiful. It's easy to watch. I recommend it because even though you think you won't want to watch a silent movie, you'll get sucked into it. I think you will. I know it's hard to read interstitial cards to get the story across and stuff, but you'll fall in love with this movie. It's one of 3 silent movies, this, The General, and Wings, that I own, that I think are movies that you can still watch. And I'd like to get a couple of others like Nosferatu and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And the one that you like, Dave, Sunrise.
Sunrise, which is also directed by Fritz Lang.
No, that's Murnau.
Is it? Oh, you're right. F.W. Murnau. Yeah, you're right. F.W. Murnau.
It's just a beautiful film. It is so progressive in so many ways. The filmmaking styles, the editing of the men getting all turned on by her, and this imagery of death that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Freder has a fever dream at one point, and death like comes out and kills the 7 deadly sins and then comes to kill him. Mammoth, huge sets for the time. And it's holding up today because it's about capitalism run amok. It's about hyper capitalism and how it creates divisions. The working class get poorer and more disadvantaged, and the rich become out of touch. this inequality ends up threatening the city's health and well-being, and someone's got to do it. It's kind of a pie in the sky answer to all of that, because I'm not sure who today. I mean, do we really think I don't know, Bernie Sanders is going to be able to come and be the messiah to get CEOs and the working class? Like, I don't see that happening. But it is a movie, so you can enjoy the fantasy resolution of it at best. But this movie's influenced a ton of stuff that's come after it. If you watch Blade Runner immediately after this, you'll see a lot of similarities in style. C-3PO from Star Wars was based on the Futura robot. There's also a lot of religious stuff in it. It's as complex as Dune in some ways, I think. But I've talked too much about it. You guys say nice things about Metropolis. Sell it. Make the people want to watch it. I feel like silent films need some help.
I found an interesting thing about this movie a while back, that the robot Maria, the Futura robot, is, because of the way German copyright law works, is still under copyright 100 years later. Because artists in Germany, they can keep their estate basically can keep the copyright on their works of art in perpetuity.
Well, Disney can't even do that.
Disney can't even do that.
That's something else. When the wars came, this movie got hurt because they basically raided Germany after World War II and stole everything. All the film reels from this got, like, I think they went to, I can't remember. It might have been Italy. I can't remember. Or Russia, maybe. And then in this ensuing decades, Germany had to, like, try and get all this stuff back. And that's one of the reasons Metropolis was hard to put together, because all of the pieces of it just scattered to the winds after Germany lost the wars. Yeah. And I can't believe that parts of this movie, 25 minutes of this movie, doesn't exist anymore, except on that heavily damaged 16 millimeter print they found in Argentina about 15, 20 years ago.
Argentina.
Argentina.
That's all there is. A private.
No, why that was there.
Like, movies are fragile, because back then they made movies on nitrate and it was highly flammable. So people didn't want to keep film around because it was dangerous, literally. So Metropolis is precious.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important. I mean, I legitimately enjoy watching this movie, and it's so important that I have to give it a 10. I don't want to try I don't want to make it seem like everyone should give it a 10, because I know silent movies are hard to watch, and I don't give Citizen Kane a 10. I don't. I know it's the most well-regarded, like, reviewed movie of all time. I think it's dull. When we get to Citizen Kane, I will say what I like about it and what I don't like about it. But I'm not the kind of person that just jumps on the bandwagon with scores. Metropolis is legitimately seminal to so much that came after it that it's required viewing.
I agree with all the above, Scott.
What's your score, Ben?
10.
Oops, I did it again. I get you guys mixed up. I have to hit it for Ben because Ben doesn't have access to the button.
They don't let me push the buttons.
It's not us. It's StreamYard, the system we're using. Only two of us can push the buttons. Ben's just a bystander, unfortunately. Well, that leaves you, Dave. Are you going to give it a 10 and join the club, or are you going to shrug that off?
You know, I hadn't thought of a score for this one, but I would probably also give it a 10 for historical significance, if nothing else. So, yeah.
Ta-da! So we gave Metropolis 3 10s. We gave Dog Soldiers 3 7s. Or no, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, we gave 3 7s.
Yep.
Dog Soldiers, we were pretty split on.
Yes.
And we're trying to only review movies that we like. But sometimes one of us may not like it. But if we all hate a movie from several decades ago, we're just not going to talk about it unless it's part of like a franchise or a theme or something. But we really just want to kind of bring out movies that we like to try and introduce you to, that we want you to go and see. And we don't want you to see crap.
No, there's enough people bonding over the things that they hate, and we're going to celebrate the things we love.
Robert, I think that might be my favorite version of it. The 115-minute version. That is like the right length that I think this movie wants to be. Especially since the new footage is so rough to look at. It kind of reminded me of Nightbreed when they finally found all that old footage. I love the old footage, but it doesn't look the same, and they had to rescore it with music that's already in the movie somewhere else, and it's jarring to me. So you can never go back.
I think that's more of
hard to avoid.
I think that's more of a novelty thing. I agree. It didn't really do anything for me for that movie. I like it better without the stuff. So.
Oh, Robert says Poor Things was greatly influenced by Metropolis. I still haven't seen Poor Things, but I really want to. I was watching Bugonia, and I couldn't remember the name of Poor Things. I was like, Beautiful Thing? Wild Thing? What kind of thing was it? Now I know. Poor. It was a poor thing, and I haven't seen it yet, but I will.
It's also a super popular video game series called BioShock that was hugely influenced by this, and I feel like a lot of the younger people who played BioShock don't know about this film.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Trying to get kids to watch. I remember when I worked at the video store in the 2000s. I worked at a Hollywood Video in Sherman Oaks, California in 2002 and 3. There was a coworker who was probably high school, college age, would not watch a black and white movie ever. Like that, the thought of doing that would just, we had to really talk her out of that. And I think we got her to watch Some Like It Hot, and she liked it, but she didn't love it. And I could tell she was never going to watch another black and white movie, and that's fine. I mean, movies are the products of their time. And I think one of the reasons I enjoy them from 100 years ago and on up is because I do put myself in a different frame of mind when I watch a movie from a different decade. I'm especially if I was alive during the time. I know what things are like. I know what they were capable of technologically and creatively at that time. I know what was in the zeitgeist. So when you watch a horror movie like Invasion of the Body Snatchers in the 50s, you're keenly aware of like the communism angle. And it's not like overt in the script, but it's hard to dismiss when you know that that was going on. The fear of communists. You could just overlay that over Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah,
horror movies are always whatever the scary thing is. It's always a reflection of politically or whatever what people are most concerned about at the time. Whether it was nuclear weapons or toxic waste. Whatever the scare of the day is. Horror movies tended to reflect that.
I think it's interesting that torture became a thing in the 2000s. How did that happen?
I think that had something to do with bodily autonomy, especially like the Eli Roth movies.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the British contributions to that in the early 2000s, considering how strict they were, in the decades up to that point. It's like they're making up for lost time with like 28 Days Later and other movies like that were pretty brutal.
It's interesting too that right now and for like the last 10 or so years, horror has been so diverse. Like before that, horror was overwhelmingly kind of one thing or another, based on what our fears were at the time.
Yeah.
And we're finally, I think in the last 10 or 15 years, we have a much bigger variety of horror. And horror is like a permanent staple now. Like it kind of came and went in waves over the last century. It peaked in the 50s a bit, and then in the late 70s and 80s, it kind of peaked again, and then it went away and came back in the late 90s. And it's kind of always been there for 25 years now. I don't know. Horror is very interesting. When you're talking about film over time, Dave's absolutely right. The horror genre in particular really captures the zeitgeist. What are Americans afraid of now in this particular time? It's interesting to study horror in that way.
Well, it's interesting. Like the current trend of horror is interesting because it seems like some of the most popular films are more of a cerebral horror variety than just boobs and guts.
Oh, for sure.
That got us through the 80s, but now you got the Hereditary and Lighthouse. And
Yeah, it's gotten really smart, but at the same time,
Yeah.
something like Terrifier comes out and cleans house at the box office.
yeah, Terrifier is just reminding us where we came from, I guess. Too.
That still speaks to the young people. My 9-year-old cousin's daughter loves the Terrifier movies. And I've shown her Texas Chainsaw. I mean, if she can take Terrifier, she can take the original Texas Chainsaw. So I showed that to her and her mom, and they liked it. They did like it.
I think one of the things that's happening with horror is that it's kind of like an extension of what's happening with cinema in general, where you, instead of like a lot of like big franchise films that everybody goes to see, we've got a lot of niche films that are aimed at specific audiences now, more than we did, like back in the 80s and 90s. And so now with like horror, you've got like Jordan Peele, who's doing horror movies that appeal to like minority audiences and the things that really affect them, the things that they're afraid of,
and people that just want original concepts,
yeah,
because he's good at that. I haven't yet loved a Jordan Peele movie, but I've liked all of them, and I really liked the UFO one, Nope.
Yeah.
Do you know why it's called Nope?
Nope.
Nope.
It's an abbreviation for some sort of UFO. And
really,
it stands for something. I can't remember.
No, I didn't know that.
Is.
I just thought it was like people just like noping out.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a little bit headier than that.
That is my favorite from Jordan Peele.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But I've liked everything I've seen from him so far.
Yeah.
Unless he's done something since Nope. I don't think I've seen anything of his since
I don't know.
Nope.
Us like missed the mark for me personally. Like
I liked parts of it a lot though.
I did like parts of it. I feel like the build-up was better than whatever the reveal was meant to be, and I feel like the ending just didn't make sense. I can't remember the details specifically, but I just stopped and thought about it. I was like, that makes no sense. What is that?
Yeah, I still don't know how to put that one together.
I like Get Out, and I like Nope. So.
I liked Get Out, but it was too much like the Stepford Wives for me to love it. But I'm one of those crazy people that needs to distinguish, do I love this movie or do I just like this movie? I'm sure most people don't spend any time thinking about that.
I do like kind of that Twilight Zone flair he's brought to all of this stuff. So.
Well, this was our show. This was our first show, gentlemen. I think we've made it through it. How'd that happen? Well, I have to thank Robert and Jen for being in our chat tonight.
Yeah,
thank you for being in our little audience. We had no expectations for tonight because it's our first show. We really don't know where to advertise except our Facebook channels.
So tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Hopefully it'll grow organically. The plan is with all of our live shows, we're going to chop them up into pieces and release the pieces throughout the week as standalone videos. So if you miss a live show, you'll be able to watch it in bit and piece form later. And then hopefully most Sundays anyway, we'll be able to do a live show. And we'll hope to engage with our chat as much as possible. And I think we're also going to give some digital downloads away in future shows because I don't use them. And I do buy a lot of 4Ks that come with them. So I've got a big pile of them to give away. And I figured that might be a fun way to do it. For the few people that do. Robert, you might really rake in a bunch of those digital downloads if you're still here next week. And we're also going to do some theme shows when we once every month or two, we're going to have something pre-recorded that's not live. And I think that's going to be our theme show where we explore a franchise or a director or an actor or just something that's somehow themed together. But that's our plan. Guys, I thank you so much for doing this with me because I tried to do this by myself just for me.
And it was so lonely.
It was horrible. I tried to make a video, not live, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. This is, I don't want that. No, somebody's got to there's got to be someone to talk to. You got to have some back and forth and some banter. So I really appreciate that you guys took the time and have agreed to do this. And I think it was fun, and I look forward to doing it some more with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next week, Belly's There the Cajun. Whole episode dedicated.
Well, you may be on your own for that one.
We promise to try and what is the word? Rein Ben in. Dave and I are going to rein Ben in. We are not going to subject our audience to Belzer the Cajun or a shit movie like Solo. Literally a shit movie. It's about shit. I guess there's some other stuff that goes on in there, but all I remember is the shit. We'll try and rein Ben in. We don't want to punish our audience with too much history. But thanks for watching. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jen, for joining the chat. And anyone else who was out there who didn't chat, thank you for watching the show. We just love movies, and we're going to try to be here to share our love of all things cinema on as many Sunday nights as possible. Have a good Sunday night, y'all.